abrupt opening. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for LTMB Live in the new year, 2020.
The very first show.
It's been a long time.
The very first show of 2020.
Very first show of 2020. Hope everybody had a very good New Year's Eve, New Year's Day as well. Can't say it was too shabby for me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. It's 2020, new year, new decade, new things, bigger and better things, hopefully a new president. But, we'll get to talk about that a little bit later, as the year unfolds. There's a lot to happen before that time.
President Sanders, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully
right.
President Sanders. Hopefully a nominee Sanders,
well,
and then a President Sanders.
Well, those donations keep rolling in.
Yeah, those donations are rolling. We're gonna definitely get to that. But yeah, a lot of things have been going on, of course, since we have been away. We've been away for what? We missed 3 programs, I think. Yeah, so all of last week and then Tuesday.
Yeah, Christmas,
right.
The day after, and then New Year's, obviously.
Right.
So, we didn't think it was advantageous to do it on New Year's.
Nah.
People,
Yeah. I mean, there was football on too.
Football, people celebrating the New Year. They're going out.
Cookouts,
going out.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day parties.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of stuff went on.
Yeah, man.
People who don't even go out, they watched, the ball drop.
Oh yeah.
And they watched the performances and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was on Twitter and someone asked a question, something I had been thinking about for years, ever since I knew there was a ball drop in New York. Mm-hmm. In that, I used to see those big crowds, and they used to do the information on the crowd estimates. It'd be like 1 million people or something, 2 million people, crowds of people just packed in. And I used to always think, how do you go to the bathroom? I was like, how do people go to the bathroom?
Yeah,
there's a lot of porta potties, but you know what Twitter told me?
What?
Diapers. And I said, nah. And as I kept reading the comments, they were like, nah, I've been told by people that they wear diapers. People have said, yeah, I wear diapers.
It's not the route I would go, but...
There are other options.
Yeah.
I'd probably just bring a little cup.
Yeah, maybe so.
And it'd be cover up with my jacket, and then urinate in the cup. That's what I would do. If I had an option, that's what I would do.
I mean, I'm sure there's establishments around there too that are open. Yeah.
But if you're in the middle though,
if
you're in the middle of that big crowd, it's going to be
be a pain to get through, and
it's going to
get back.
It's going to be a chore. And no. You will not be able to get through that thick crowd of people.
Right. Maybe they don't drink. Maybe they're not drinking.
Oh, not drinking water.
Yeah.
They're drinking alcohol.
Yeah. Not breaking the seal.
But see, drinking alcohol is going to make your body want to urinate more because it wants to get rid of it.
True. But if you don't break the seal, then you good.
Oh, true that.
Yeah.
Once you break the seal,
it's over.
even if you just go a little bit,
you
just open it up. There's the
Exactly.
floodgates, bro.
Yeah.
Man, what's been going on, man?
Chilling, man. Chilling hard. Of course, paying attention to what's going on in the world. It's a good time to reflect on past years, past events, and also, try to remain positive and, positive about the future of your life, this country, this world, things like that. Unfortunately, we did have some violence, of course.
Oh yeah, the church
shooting.
Yeah.
We had the stabbing in New York at the rabbi's home.
You got what's this? Isn't there something going on in Australia, like a fire or something?
Right. Yeah. I believe I can't count. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have the accurate count. 5, 7 people, I believe, lost their lives. Iraq.
Oh yeah,
their protests.
Man, their protests. It looks, man, I swear, it looks like they're trying to stage something, bro.
Yeah. So we got a lot of things going on. The violence, the chaos never ends. Just try to deal with it and keep it moving. And we try to address a lot of that here. And so let's just begin. Let's begin with North Korea, okay? Because that's always been framed as something that's very dangerous for the United States. In the relationship or lack of a relationship that we have with North Korea, and especially the North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. We know the chummy relationship that it is said to be had between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. And that was following the meeting.
He likes me and I like him.
Right. They had a meeting in 2018. I believe it was June in Singapore. That was their first meeting. And since then, President Trump has had very kind, very warm, heartfelt words for him.
They exchanged letters or whatever.
Yeah, exchanged letters.
They exchanged love letters.
Yeah.
And so
like
I'm pretty sure they exchanged maybe like a friendship bracelet or something as well.
He did show him that video. You remember the futuristic video of North Korea?
North Korea, yeah.
This is what you could be. But yeah. So anyway, a little bit of news had just dropped a few days ago. Actually, I think it was yesterday. So Kim Jong-un declared that he no longer felt obligated to abide by the self-imposed moratorium on the nuclear test and the long-range ballistic missile testing as well. These tests have not been conducted for about 2 years. And it was about that time that he met with President Trump that they stopped. I think they stopped a little bit before that, possibly. But yeah, there haven't been any nuclear testing done since then. Now, we speculated that there was no reason to do it because they had already advanced to a point where they probably didn't need to undergo that testing. It's not like the United States has to undergo that testing. It's for a country that is trying to ramp up their nuclear capability. That's why you need to test, how sound that capability is.
And if we're being honest about, why North Korea would want to have nuclear weapons in the first place, it's most likely just so they can't be, I guess, strong-armed. They're not going to attack anybody.
Right.
It's just like it's a bargaining chip.
Right.
They want nuclear weapons as a bargaining chip.
And as a threat. Don't come in here.
Don't come in here. I mean, again, and we could say that regardless of what kind of leader Kim Jong-un is.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We know he's a dictator.
Right.
He has his political rivals murdered. So, I mean, even with that being the case, right, we don't think he's a threat to anyone outside of his country.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. That doesn't seem to be the case. But anyway, so with this these new comments from Kim Jong-un, of course, the leadership in the United States of America, the Trump administration, has to definitely respond. So Trump, on New Year's Eve, he was at Mar-a-Lago. And in some of the comments that he made, he said this about Kim Jong-un. He said he did sign a contract. He did sign an agreement talking about denuclearization, and that was signed. Number one sentence, denuclearization. That was done in Singapore, and I think he's a man of his word. So we're going to find out, but I think he's a man of his word. Talking about Kim Jong-un, the North Korean Supreme Leader. Now, again, we just finished kind of discussing Singapore, that initial meeting between the two countries' leaders. There were three key things that were, I guess, achieved, if you could say achieved. There were three things, key things that were achieved by this meeting, and specifically about the agreement, the piece of paper they signed, or whatever agreement that President Trump is talking about. There were three key things that were achieved. One was that they agreed that there should be peace. Okay, all right, that's number one. It's a good one, I guess. That's a real good one. Number two was that North Korea was going to do whatever they could to find
solutions to denuclearization.
Well, yeah, in their conversations with South Korea.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
they were gonna
like
continue,
some sort of it's like a pathway to some sort of treaty.
Right. Yes, they were gonna continue in their talks with South Korea, and the aim is denuclearization. Okay. Cool. The third thing was that they were going to try to find remains, U.S. remains of U.S. service members that were lost during the Korean War. And that actually did happen. They did send some remains to the United States. Nothing in the agreement stated that there was going to be a further halt on ballistic testing, nuclear testing, long-range missile testing, anything like that. Nothing about human rights issues.
Interesting enough, you would have thought that would have been the lead-in for Trump to, hey, address these human rights issues, and maybe we can kind of be a little more lenient in going about this nuclear or denuclearization conversation. But he didn't lead in with that.
No. Like I said, a lot of things were not addressed, and the main thing that was not addressed, given the threat that North Korea is, there was nothing that was limiting Kim Jong-un from doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. There was no commitment that you got from Kim Jong-un. So what Trump is talking about here, that he signed an agreement, signed a contract, I'm not sure. No. I was gonna say I'm not sure that's true. That's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. He didn't agree to do anything. Like he wasn't committal on it.
Yeah, it wasn't a binding contract. No. It was just like, hey, I agree to think about it.
Yeah.
That's basically what Kim Jong-un agreed to.
I'm gonna continue.
But I'm not committing to anything. I'm gonna think about it. That's not really an agreement, and it's a contradiction to say that someone signed a contract and then only be, I guess, concerned about them keeping their word, right? Because those two things don't go together, right? Because if he's concerned about Kim Jong-un keeping his word, that's just about rhetoric. It wouldn't be about that. He wouldn't be talking about his word if there was an actual binding contract. Those two things contradict. If I say, you're a man of your word, that means that's all you were given.
Right.
That kind of signifies that Trump knows that's all he was given.
Right.
But he's trying to call that a contract. He knows that's not a contract.
He does. So anyway, we don't know where this is going. I don't think Kim Jong-un made any comments stating that he was indeed going to go forward with more nuclear testing, more long-range ballistic missile testing, but he definitely suggested that was a possibility. So that's left to the future.
What did Donald Trump say in that interview with, I think it was Greta Van Susteren? Remember that after the Singapore meetings?
Well, if you're referring to him saying that they were no longer a nuclear threat,
no longer a nuclear threat, and they would immediately cease their nuclear testing program. And they would immediately cease testing their ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads on them.
Yeah, something like that.
Immediately.
Something to that regard.
As soon as he got back.
Yeah.
And then he was groveling to the United States and the American people to give him some sort of prize for his successful negotiations.
Yes, he wanted the Nobel Peace Prize. Seems as though that would have been a little premature. That's what it seems like to me right now. At the time, I kind of felt the same way. Oddly enough, I felt the same way at that time when he proclaimed that there was some achievement.
He wanted credit for just meeting with Kim Jong-un.
A
meeting that actually he didn't set up.
No.
This whole arrangement was arranged by, or it's kind of put together by the Moon Jae-in, the South Korean president.
Right. Yeah, because as you can recall, at the time there was a lot of angst between Trump and Kim Jong-un. There was a lot of threats.
We covered that.
Media.
It was just like a bunch of rhetorical missiles being passed back and forth between Un and Trump.
Yes.
And I think it was Moon Jae-in. He was the one who encouraged Kim Jong-un to make some conciliatory remarks at the Olympic Games.
That's correct.
He's the one who did that.
Yeah, but Trump wants the credit.
He wanted the credit, yeah. So
look, well, like I said, we'll just see where this goes. If it will be funny. I will admit it will be funny if North Korea does go ahead and engage in more testing. What's Trump's response going to be? I think that's going to be comical.
It's going to be comical because I think Trump is going to approach it based on what he thinks appeals to him. You know what appeals to him. All you got to do is compliment him.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all, really, and that's all that works. If you compliment Trump, you're in with Trump.
Right.
And that's all Trump needs.
Yep. And clearly Kim Jong-un recognized it. Clearly.
And he played him. I mean.
All right, so let's get to a little bit of 2020 presidential election news or presidential campaign news. Earlier today, Democratic presidential hopeful Julian Castro ended his presidential bid. Julian Castro, as of late, wasn't making a lot of noise in terms of fundraising numbers, in terms of polling. He hadn't been at the last 2 debates, I believe. Anybody that had been paying attention probably would have seen this coming sooner or later. He did put out a little video on social media, and we have a clip of that to show you.
We've shaped the conversation on so many important issues in this race, stood up for the most vulnerable people, and given a voice to those who are often forgotten. But with only a month until the Iowa caucuses, and given the circumstances of this campaign season, I've determined that it simply isn't our time. So today it's with a heavy heart and with profound gratitude that I will suspend my campaign for president. I'm so thankful to all of our supporters, the folks who knocked doors, made phone calls, donated, or told their friends and family about our bold vision to put people first. I'm not done fighting. I'll keep working towards a nation where everyone counts, a nation where everyone can get a good job, good health care, and a decent place to live, where each of our children can walk across the graduation stage, where kids like Trayvon can walk across their neighborhood in peace, and where Oscar and Valeria can walk to refuge. To all who have been inspired by our campaign, especially our young people, keep reaching for your dreams and keep fighting for what you believe in. Ganaremos un día.
That was a nice little walkout there. That's a nice little walkout.
Yeah, not bad.
Honestly, I think he should have been polling higher than most of the field that's currently still, in the
that's
running.
still in. Yeah, I agree.
He should have been polling high. I mean,
I think he was probably, just in my opinion, I think he was the top echelon of the current candidates. Of the Democratic presidential hopefuls, even going back to when there were like 11 of them. I think he was at the top echelon of those candidates.
Yeah, it's just weird how much, attention he didn't get and how much attention other candidates got. He sat on the city council and he was the mayor of San Antonio.
That's correct.
I mean, San Antonio is 1.5 million people?
Right.
But Buttigieg is ahead of him. And
Buttigieg, man.
And that's the 4th largest city in Indiana? 4th or 5th?
I don't know that.
And he was he served
really
as he served under Obama as well as HUD.
Yeah, in HUD. Yeah, that's right. He definitely has experience. We know that experience doesn't mean everything.
We're just talking about comparing. That's
if
all.
you compare the two, and then if you actually compare policies and outlooks of him and others like Buttigieg, like Amy Klobuchar, and whoever, Kamala Harris, just anybody.
O'Rourke, any of those, even Booker, in my opinion.
That's correct. I definitely believe he had a leg up on them in terms of outlook and in terms of what he wanted to do.
I liked him in there for one main reason, is that he was low-key running interference for Bernie Sanders without being very obvious, by going after people like Pete Buttigieg and Biden on occasion. I thought that benefited Bernie.
Yeah.
I don't recall him going after Bernie at all in any of the.
No, I don't. I don't at all. I don't. We could be wrong, but
Okay,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like if he did, it was probably minor anyway. That's maybe why I don't remember. But nothing significantly severe. Nothing significantly.
No moments.
like antagonistic.
Right.
So yeah, no moments like that. So
I will say that at this point too, now that we're months into this presidential campaign season, I don't think I felt like this at the beginning. But I'm not so sure that Elizabeth Warren is a better candidate than Julian Castro.
I don't either.
Months ago, I said differently.
Well, months ago, I think like you're basing your analysis on kind
There's been
of
some
like
stuff that's been, there's been some stuff that has happened.
there's some
now.
things that have been happening.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not. I don't think you or I are just looking at it from our own personal standpoint and how we, view politics and platform that we advocate for and we promote, but more of a kind of a broad idea about how people perceive Warren. So that goes into our analysis too. So it's not just about us.
And then the constant sidestepping or backtracking, that's from Warren. Now with Julian Castro, I don't know that he's had to backtrack. I don't think he has. Has he had to backtrack? I don't think he's had to backtrack. Now it doesn't.
Not that I recall.
Yeah. Now I don't think Amy Klobuchar has had to backtrack either. Now she's a centrist, so it doesn't matter if she backtracks at all. She's still I think a horrible candidate. But I think, in terms of a progressive outlook for the country, I believe that Julian Castro definitely belongs in that conversation. And like I said, at this point, he is probably a better candidate than Elizabeth Warren. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but I probably would lean that way. But he is giving up his campaign. And like I said, a lot of it has to do with, just overall support for his campaign. He wasn't hitting the numbers in fundraising, definitely wasn't hitting the numbers in polling. So, like I said, this was definitely foreseeable. There's another candidate that has not officially ended their presidential bid, but it looks like it's coming, and that's Marianne Williamson. So she has just recently laid off her national campaign staff. So it does seem as though an announcement is
Forthcoming.
Yeah, forthcoming, and she's probably going to bow out. She was looked at as a long shot. She didn't have too much of a political, I guess she didn't have a political experience, really. She'd never been elected to office, which still, that's something, but not the major thing, not to me. She had a lot of good ideas. There were many times where she looked like the most sensible candidate that
to me
that was
like
there.
Sometimes she looked like the most articulate
No doubt.
candidate up on stage. Sometimes she looked like kind of the most well-read, kind of having a good, I guess, perspective on U.S. history.
Yeah. And unafraid to be bold in what she was laying out for the future of the country. So there was a lot of good to her candidacy, but as we said,
She can be kooky at sometimes.
she could. There were a few answers that now you need to leave that at home, but still, like I said, I think she. I definitely believe she definitely means well. I believe she is sincere with her intentions, but like I said, she had a long way to go. I'd like to reach national relevancy in terms of politics. She has created that lane for herself in other areas,
Like
not so much in
self-help,
politics.
spirituality,
Yeah.
whatever.
So, like I said, that's not so
Surprising.
surprising either. Now, we did just get finished with another quarter. So this is the fourth quarter of the year, so there's some fourth quarter fundraising totals to go over. And unfortunately, it looks like this is the end of Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign. He only crossed 5 million overall contributions.
Measly numbers, man.
5 million contributions.
Measly
I don't
numbers,
believe that's
man.
going to get it done. I don't think that would ever get it done. Really. 5 million. I mean, it's only the most contributions ever at this point.
So what you're saying is, it looks like Bernie should just go ahead and drop out.
Yeah, I mean, why are you still in? Like really, like 5 million contributions. What are you going to do with that?
Just drop out
You can do
and just drop out and endorse a more viable candidate, Bernie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I have some more numbers. We have some more numbers just to show you how bad it's looking. So he actually led the way in the Democratic field in terms of overall money.
But see. That's too good
Yes.
for him to be the nominee.
It's too good.
Remember Van Jones?
Van Jones
said that.
He's too good.
So you can't even say it without laughing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. $34.5 million raised in the fourth quarter. Average donation, $18. Average donation, $18. So the campaign also announced that the overall bulk, more than 99% of the contributors can contribute again. Have not reached that maximum donation threshold yet.
Yeah, the liberal centrists on Twitter are mad.
Yeah.
Not just Twitter, but all social media. They mad. They're trying to kind of undercut this donation windfall with some very interesting takes. I saw some, and a lot of these got some traction and likes and retweets, but the narrative is, well, you have millions of people donating $1 each over and over again. So that inflates the amount of donations. And I was like, it would take a lot of $1 donations to get to $5 million. And that's very tedious for millions of supporters to just donate $1 per month. That's
ridiculous.
$1 per whenever. That just seems like working too hard.
I'm sure there are many people donating $1.
I'm pretty sure there are.
Sure.
But the average wouldn't be 18 if there were millions of people, donating $1. That would drive the average down. And last year it was 27. So it can't be just of millions of dollar donations.
And he's eclipsed those marks in 2016. He eclipsed those marks.
But why isn't no other candidate doing that? Well, why isn't no other candidate doing that?
I don't know. I don't believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe any other candidate has eclipsed 3 million total contributions.
Nothing is preventing the supporters of other candidates from doing what some of these people say Bernie Sanders supporters are doing as far as donation-wise. And actually, Buttigieg recently issued a comment and said that his supporters should fudge the numbers by donating $1 here and there. So he's trying to recreate that same energy that Bernie Sanders has behind him. I mean, come on.
It's not fake though.
I mean, if you look, and I believe we talked about, or maybe even shared that it was a New York Times article where it had the donation distribution map.
Yes.
And Bernie was just
all over the place.
All over the place.
That's correct. Talking about Pete Buttigieg.
I'm talking about individuals too. Individual contributors.
He is second on the list. He is second. Pete Buttigieg is second on the list.
Peter Paul Montgomery Buttigieg. Officially. Just found out that was his whole name.
Yeah. Well, Buttigieg, his campaign said that he brought in $24.7 million in the fourth quarter. So, again, that is good for second place. Former Vice President Joe Biden raised $22.7 million. And Elizabeth Warren, I don't believe as of yet has released her total, which I think she's done before, has waited, and we're all how much did you bring? But anyway, she was expecting, I believe her campaign was expecting her to bring in 20 million for the quarter, but it looks like it's going to be less than that. That's all the information I have on that. Andrew Yang, his campaign said that he brought in $16.5 million. And then also, Representative Tulsi Gabbard said she raised $3.4 million in the fourth quarter. And I am hearing that is the largest amount that she has brought in any quarter, and that's per her official campaign spokesperson, Nico House. So. I'm just saying.
Yeah, official.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. It looks like that. I'm just saying.
I wonder where a lot of those donations are coming from. You know, your boy, Trump, at recent rally, name dropped Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did. I wonder why. Little Miss President.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's what we have for the fourth quarter campaign totals. To be serious, of course, looks like Bernie Sanders is still pacing the field.
Setting records like a mug.
Setting records. Now, on the other side, Trump, of course, is bringing in a lot of money. I believe he brought in over $40 million. I think it was $44 or $48 million.
That's expected.
Like that.
That
There's
is
one candidate.
What?
There's one candidate on the right.
Exactly. There's one candidate, and you know, corporate interest wants the same person to stay in power.
Right. The incumbent.
They want the
is going
incumbent
to
to
get
stay
all
in
the
power.
donations.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yes. This is nothing that's like out of the normal or out of the norm or anything.
Sure. If you know, I was president and I signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you best believe I would be expecting a lot
Hell yeah.
of return for
no
that.
doubt. Look what I did for you.
Look what I did for y'all, man.
Setting records and corporate buybacks and all that. Look what I did for you. So anyway, so just to really sell home the point that Bernie Sanders obviously ain't shit, ain't doing shit, ain't about to do shit, ain't never gonna do shit.
Ain't got a chance to win.
Yeah. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Jason Johnson, who is a regular contributor on MSNBC. And recently he was on MSNBC's Morning Joe. And he had a lot of things to say about Bernie Sanders' campaign and specifically Bernie Sanders supporters. Very interesting. Hold up. We ain't got that clip yet. We don't have that clip for you yet. Let me see. I thought I had it. You know what?
You used the word interesting.
Yeah, it's very
to
interesting.
describe his commentary,
Very
and I think that's being
Okay, yeah, here it is.
too nice.
Yeah, it is being a little bit too nice.
I think it's being a little bit too nice because obviously, you know, it's social media, and when you see a clip, you're not expecting. You know, you don't know what somebody's about to say. You just see MSNBC.
Right.
You see maybe somebody tweets it and they have their little take on it. You know, it's like, so you're like, okay, it's about to be dumb. So you know it. But then when you hear it,
yeah,
you're like,
it's a whole nother something. I really, you know, we heard similar things to this. And when you hear it, it's not going to be surprising, but to hear somebody that is supposed to be knowledgeable in what he's doing and offering
you're coming on
political analysis.
MSNBC, yeah, you're a political analyst. Analyst. You're trying to offer your political take on something, a serious political
not
take.
garbage, not hot garbage, like actual official, intelligent type of analysis. But we got something else from Jason Johnson. So just give me 1 second. We do got it here. All right. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right. So this is the clip right here.
But yeah, so here's the thing. The idea there was going to be a progressive battle between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, it was never something that had much resonance with me because that presumes that Bernie Sanders supporters are supporting him primarily for policy purposes, and that's not really what's going on. A lot of his core base support like him because they see him as sort of a political and democratic savior type character. So he was always going to end up winning out any sort of policy argument because in the end of the day, people they like Bernie, and they're Bernie or bust kind of people. But I do think it's critical to remember this. We really are down to 4 people who have any chance. You've got Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Mayor Pete, and Elizabeth Warren.
Why did he say we support him?
In other words, because he's looked at as the Messiah. He's a political savior.
He's going to save the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an absurd point, but I don't think he realizes it's a contradictory point, right? because he's saying that Bernie Sanders supporters do not support Bernie Sanders because of his platforms and his policy, but because, we believe, or they believe, that Bernie Sanders is a savior to the Democratic Party. Those two things are two things together, said simultaneously, are a contradiction. Because why is Bernie Sanders seen as a savior to the Democratic Party in the first place? Why? It's because of his policies.
I know. Like, in 2015, Bernie Sanders was a little-known senator from Vermont. He wasn't nationally known, not on a wide scale. It was his policy positions that vaulted him to national recognition status, vaulted him to actually making a race out of the 2016 Democratic presidential nomination.
Which nobody expected.
Nobody expected. It was only his policies that separated himself from Hillary Clinton, who was seen as inevitable. If his policy positions were the same as Hillary Clinton, would he have made any noise? Absolutely not.
Hell no.
Absolutely not. So, like you're saying, what separates him from everybody else is his policy positions, and his policy positions going back decades. So there's consistency there too. So if you want to say that, yeah, people are seeing him as the great hope, like, oh, we got to get him because then we'll have hope. I can see where some people believe that. I still believe that it's going to take more than Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders is a very good start. It's going to take a lot more than Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. But if you feel like, hey, man, this is hopeful, I get it. But again, like you're saying, why do people feel that, or like, why are people feeling hopeful in regards to Bernie Sanders? It's not because he's the same old, same old. It's not because people don't care about his policy positions. It's because they do care about where he's coming from, what he wants to do for the country. This is what we're getting from MSNBC.
And he is actually a professor of political science at a university, and he's also a professor, I think, of journalism and communication at a university, or was formerly.
This is a garbage take.
You better be glad it's probably formally, because if he wasn't, if it wasn't formally, pretty sure it would be something that he would have to address in his class.
Look, we understand, and I've noted his commentary before. I believe I actually referenced him at one point, not by name, because I don't think I could remember it at the time. But I remember referencing him at one other time when he said something disparaging about Bernie Sanders. So this is not, this is not something new. It's not a surprise or anything like that. If you want to hit Bernie Sanders because you believe that his policy proposals are too bold, they're too radical, they would just harm the country, harm individuals, harm taxpayers. If you want to say that, cool. Make your point, let it ride, whatever. If you want to say that, cool. But to say that, hey, well, his supporters don't even care about where he's coming from politically in terms of what his platform is. They don't even care.
It's just a cult following.
Yeah, it's just a cult following. They just want to look at him as the savior, as the Messiah. That's why they support him.
But let's just say that's true.
You would have to be giving something to the people. Like, if you're a Messiah-type candidate or a Messiah-type individual, you
would still have to, offer something.
What are you giving the people? It doesn't even have to be politics. A cult leader.
Yeah.
What are you giving people? How are you, I guess, conveying that there's hope? What are people hopeful about? In politics, it's usually about proposals and policies. That's what it's usually about. Hillary Clinton wasn't viewed as
policies that mitigate
as a Messiah, was she?
No.
Was she?
No, she wasn't viewed as a Messiah.
No.
That's a different question. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
But I'm saying,
she wasn't viewed as one, but she sure did have a very overzealous following.
Oh, she did. She definitely did.
But you know what this is about, though, right? Because this commentary comes right after
the fourth quarter
fundraising numbers were released.
Right. So you have to poo-poo.
Find some way.
Right.
Without saying, hey, these numbers are phony or fake, because you can't say that. Mm-hmm. You have to find a way to just kind of diminish like the support that Bernie Sanders has, right?
Like this is going to be here anyways because they are following.
So essentially,
profit.
all this money and all this donations and these donation numbers and these figures, yes, they're big, and it may show that Bernie Sanders is a front runner. But the reason why he's a front runner is because he has a bunch of sycophantic supporters who will support him unconditionally, and it's just a big cult. And they're not really about anything. They're not really about any policy, or they don't really have a platform. They just see Bernie Sanders as a savior and as a messiah. That's it. That's why they're giving all their money to him. That's it. That's the only reason.
If this isn't about policy, why is there being so much made of Medicare for all? I mean, because that's a big policy position that's talked about a lot, a lot by everybody, and especially centrists, especially MSNBC analysts. So if it's not about policy, why are you talking about a significant policy of Bernie Sanders that not only his supporters support, but other people support as well, including Republicans?
And he's put out other plans too, like the Criminal Justice Reform Plan.
Housing
plan,
climate change,
it's so,
Green New Deal, all of that.
Like his take would only make sense if Bernie Sanders didn't have plans.
Right.
So it wouldn't even be about his supporters. It wouldn't even be about Bernie Sanders supporters. This take would only make sense if Bernie Sanders didn't have any plans. What he's saying is Bernie Sanders supporters are completely ignoring all those plans. Those plans don't exist.
Again, garbage take. Garbage take by Jason Johnson of MSNBC.
Like letting him on is just whack. I know you have to, allow different individuals that come from a different place to express their points in media. I understand that. But you gonna tell me they didn't know what points he was gonna make? They brought him on to make those points.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Again, you can disagree. You can say that he's too radical. He's too outrageous. You don't like his policy positions. They're going to do harm to the country. Cool. But how could you say that his supporters don't care about his policy positions? That he would have never reached this area. He would have never been hitting these numbers if people didn't like his policy positions. He would have never reached national recognition status. He would have never actually challenged Hillary Clinton. He would have been nobody. Hillary Clinton would have coasted. All right, let's get to Andrew Yang. Boy, oh boy, Andrew Yang. So we just talked about Medicare for All. So this is a good segue into Andrew Yang's recent comments about Medicare for All. Now, we've talked about this a couple times, I believe.
Because he was all for it.
Yeah, he was all for it.
I mean, at the beginning.
Yes, and since then he's amended his language.
Even the first debates.
Yeah, he was.
He was all for it.
Right. But what's interesting is that he's not backing off of the use of the term Medicare for All, but his explanation of what Medicare for All is completely mangled. He's completely mangled the definition. So we got a couple of clips of Andrew Yang mangling his explanation of Medicare for All. The first clip is he was interviewed on ABC's This Week with Jonathan Karl, and I'm just going to let him take it away.
Okay, I want to turn to your healthcare plan because you've just released a new healthcare plan, and I'm a little bit confused about where you stand. First, I want to play clips from 2 of your ads where you talk about healthcare.
We need to move towards a Medicare for All system where every American has access to quality and affordable services.
His ideas are a blueprint for a new way forward. A healthcare system with Medicare for All.
But I've looked at your healthcare plan. In fact, I've got it right here. And this plan does not call for Medicare for All. In fact, it doesn't even have a public option. So why the dissonance here?
We need to move towards universal health care that's high quality and nearly cost-free for Americans around the country. But reality is we have millions of Americans who are on private insurance right now, and taking those plans away from them very quickly would be untenable for many, many Americans. To me, the goal of the government has to be to demonstrate that we can outcompete private plans and then push them out of the market over time. And that's what we're proposing.
But I'm confused. Your ad is explicit. Your ad says Medicare for all. Your plan is not Medicare for all. It's not even Medicare for some, because in your plan there's not even a public option.
Our plan is to expand a universal health care system to all Americans. Medicare for all is not the name of a bill. Medicare for all is universal health care for all Americans.
But Medicare for all is Medicare for all, right? I mean...
Well, our health care plan would be based on Medicare and expanding it over time to more and more Americans. You lower the eligibility age and then you make it widely accessible.
Okay, I didn't see that in your plan, but
I have to say,
if you were going to co-opt a term like Medicare for all, you better know how to do it. You better know how to co-opt the term and explain your
this guy is a very intelligent individual. But he sounds really dumb. He sounds really unintelligent when he's talking about what he's Medicare for all, universal health care, whatever his plan is. These are not setup questions. These are not gotchas.
Exactly. He knew he was going to be asked about this. No. See, and
these are like, I have your plan right here. I have your ads right here. You consistently talk about Medicare for all, but I have your plan right here, and I don't see Medicare. I don't see a public option. I don't see any of that. So why are you
calling it Medicare for all?
And then his retort is, Medicare for all is not an actual bill. Aren't there two bills? Aren't there two?
Not only are there two bills.
There's two bills. There's Bernie Sanders.
I would really like to ask Yang a question. Where did you get the name for your bill? Did you just pull it out of the sky? You see what I'm saying? We're just talking about the name of it, right?
Because
it's not a bill.
In some way, that term was popular.
In some way. So that's what I'm saying. Even if he said it's not a bill, okay.
Not a bill. Even though it's a bill.
But where did he get the wording from? Where did he get the terminology from in the first place?
And what did the terminology mean? Because it means something pretty specific, and it was never universal health care. Like, it was never, everybody has health care. It doesn't matter what that health care looks like. It doesn't matter how we approach it. That was never what Medicare for all was. It was always about, like, the government, Medicare, because Medicare is something specific, and it is something that is administered through the government. Medicare, like, if you want to say healthcare for all, nobody's going to say anything to Andrew Yang about it. If he says, yeah, healthcare for all, that's my plan. Okay, that's your outlook? Cool. How are you going to get there? Okay, we can dissect that all day. But when you say Medicare, which is a copyrighted name, Medicare, a government healthcare program, and you say Medicare for all, that insinuates you're talking about government-run health care for all. But then he says, yeah, taking away these private plans would be untenable for many Americans.
Why would it be untenable? Does he not know what the word untenable means? Because by untenable, he's suggesting that people would not be able to survive. Right? That's what untenable means. It's untenable. It's a no-go. It's a non-starter. Right. He's suggesting that individuals will not be covered, which they will. So why won't it be tenable? They still have coverage. It just be the source of it, or how it's paid for will be different. That's it. And something stuck out to me on the last sentence. He said something like, increasing access or something, or increasing availability. I can't remember the exact words.
That's what he meant. I don't know exactly the words.
What does that sound like? That doesn't sound like people would be like ushered in. Everyone would be ushered in slowly. He's just saying easier access, more availability. It's pretty much what he's talking about there. So what that means is there's still going to be market-based insurance.
Right.
In a
because he
capitalistic
doesn't want
market.
to. Yeah, because he doesn't want to take away private plans. He clearly made that point. Being that he's not actually talking about Medicare for all, being that he's not even talking about a public option, whatever he's talking about, is it better than somebody like Hillary Clinton?
It's actually worse than Biden's.
Biden?
It's actually worse than Biden's.
Yes.
And
he's actually talking about a public option.
Who was do you remember the name of the host?
Jonathan Karl.
Okay. I don't think he brought that up.
No,
But I'm glad he mentioned that there's no public option in it.
No public option, no single payer. What are you offering? Something very ambiguous. So you're just going to open up healthcare access for everybody. You're just going to do that some way, somehow. Kind of like what we hear from the Republican Party. Hey, we're going to be known as the party of healthcare. Haven't told you any information about how that's going to happen. The plans or whatever proposals, very ambiguous, but we're going to make it happen.
Are there really like what you would call
Through private insurance too.
Or is there a market-based solution to this issue?
No.
Like, I mean, that's the question right there. And if you look at the cost of like certain procedures in the United States and compare them to the cost of those same procedures in other countries,
Right.
the United States just far exceeds that dollar amount.
Wholesale.
And we've had
talking about procedures, pharmaceutical drugs, all of that.
And we've had that market for quite some time.
Yes.
And that hasn't been doing
Yes.
the United States citizens any service.
If our
For the most
marketplace
part,
was going to put us in a better situation,
We would have been there.
we already
would have been
there.
here.
Yes. We know that with private healthcare, with the private healthcare industry, when you introduce profit motives into healthcare, you're going to ruin it. I mean, I can't say you're going to ruin it because it was established this way.
Because what are they looking at? They're looking at the bottom line.
Yes, they're looking
For
at
the
the
most
dollar,
part.
profits. They're not looking at actual care of people. No, green is what's going to reign supreme here. So again, when you have profit motives involved in healthcare, you can't have a good situation. You can't have a situation where everybody's going to have healthcare. Everybody's going to be able to afford to pay for that healthcare.
You know what lets me know just from like his demeanor that he knew he was bullshitting? The fact that he was stumbling.
Yeah,
I think he knows. He knows, and that's not a knock on him. That's actually saying that there's still a bit of conscience remaining. You can tell there's still a bit like of conscience remaining in him because he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. He can articulate himself like better than most of the candidates.
Better than most, right.
Better than most of the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And he can do it under pressure. And he has been doing it under a lot of pressure, like during debates, because he doesn't have as much talk time. Mm-hmm. We've always highlighted that.
He's
We've always
rose to the
highlighted
occasion
his
in
ability
many of these
to
opportunities.
Yeah, like obviously we kind of shit on some of the things he says, obviously, but for the most part, I give credit where credit's due when it comes to Andrew Yang. So when somebody like him, who is scheduled to be on a network and does an interview and fumbles like this, you can look at his eyes and look at his face and tell that he knows he has to bullshit. And I don't know why he's bullshitting. I don't know why he's going this route, but there's some kind of conscience still there because I don't think he would stumble like that. It's just hard to defend the indefensible.
He's being a con man.
Yeah, and he knows it.
In this regard, on this subject, he's being a con
And
man.
I think he knows it.
He has to know it.
Yeah.
Like you said, he knew he was going to appear. He knows what he's saying on those ads. He knows it does not resemble what is actually Medicare for all. So you can't, this isn't something that he's doing unconsciously.
Yeah.
He's doing this knowing that he's selling some bullshit. There's another clip that we would like to show you, okay? And this is, again, more of the same from Andrew Yang on Medicare for all, on, I guess, his idea of what Medicare for all is. Even though, again, Medicare It's a government-run program. Anyway, so he was in New Hampshire, and he was asked some questions by reporters Julia Jester and Zareen Shah. So we're going to show this clip and then come back and discuss.
Your version and Senator Sanders' versions mean two very different things. Would you consider rebranding your own as you were saying earlier, universal health care? Do you think it's confusing for voters to have all this terminology?
Again, I think Medicare for All means universal health care to me and other Americans. And I think if anyone spends any time with us, they can see very clearly what our vision for the healthcare system is.
I guess just to follow up on the question, we have come to believe that Senator Sanders' bill is sort of the definition of Medicare for All because it's been used for so long. If you ask the majority of Americans, that's what they believe the definition is. So does it feel like you're sort of taking the definition and just redefining it to something that most
I can
Americans
guarantee that virtually no Americans have actually read the proposal. And so if you were to say the proposed bill that Senator Sanders put forward. So if you say Medicare for All to most Americans, I don't think they're thinking about Senator Sanders' bill because they actually haven't gotten into the weeds in reviewing that bill. What I think and what I believe most Americans think when they hear Medicare for All is we should all have health care.
This was worse than the
interview.
Yeah, this is worse than the interview on ABC's This Week because he added a few other things. First of all, he actually insulted people. He actually insulted people by saying that he could guarantee that no American, so that's zero for the guy that is wearing the math pen, that's zero. Zero Americans have actually gone into the weeds and read Senator Sanders' bill, so they don't actually know what Medicare for All means either. And then at the end, he commented that people just believe that Medicare for All is universal health care.
He just totaled himself. Think about what he just said. Why would you start with that? You start with, what he started with, I guarantee you if people spent time with us and the candidates, they realize that the visions are the same, but they're not.
They're absolutely not.
First, they're not. And two, it's quite revealing that the second or third thing he said was he doesn't believe most Americans have read the bill. That's a tell. He just told on himself. He just said that's the reason why I can sell my proposal as Medicare for All.
Because people don't know
what Medicare for All is. He just told on himself.
But people do know what Medicare for All is. It's been talked about. And what I do like about 2019 and then now in 2020 is that Senator Bernie Sanders is being more specific about Medicare for All, his proposal, and how we're going to get there. So before, in 2016, he wasn't really commenting about if it was going to take a tax hike. But now he is comfortable with saying that. So I do like that.
If it's the same, if they have the same vision,
right,
then why doesn't he support Bernie's bill?
Same vision.
If it's the same vision, then why doesn't he support Bernie's bill? That doesn't make sense.
People that talk about Medicare for All, usually they talk about not wanting the private healthcare industry involved. That's a significant point to be made, that we don't believe that the private healthcare industry should be the middleman. That's a significant point that is always addressed when you're talking about Medicare for All. This guy, Andrew Yang, wants to preserve the private healthcare industry. He doesn't want to take away private plans. In that interview with Jonathan Karl, he said that it would be untenable for many Americans. So their plans are not the same. Their visions are not the same. Andrew Yang is selling the message that he just wants everybody to have health care. But how is that going to look in a private healthcare industry run system? Giving access to healthcare, giving people access to healthcare, everybody access to healthcare does not mean everybody can actually use the healthcare. Again, as we said just a few minutes ago, if this could be a market-based solution, then it would have already been made. We would have already been there, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Costs wouldn't be going up
No.
every year. Now,
So
the ACA slowed the increase.
Yeah,
of
slowed
those
the increase,
costs,
but
that's
they're
all it
still
did. It just
increasing.
slowed the cost or the increase of cost.
He's being disingenuous here. He's absolutely being disingenuous, saying that actually nobody knows what Medicare for All is, and what Medicare for All is for most people is just everybody having health care.
So if nobody knows what it is, then like
Why are you using the term?
why are you using the term?
Exactly. Why are you co-opting it? Because you know you're co-opting it. Because you know Bernie Sanders doesn't mean what you mean. You're just trying to sell the idea that you mean the same thing.
And he just said that. He said that. He said we have the same universal idea about it. We have the same vision.
Do you think, I'm just throwing this out there, okay? Do you think it's possible that most people, I'd say from teenagers to adults, do you think that most people may know a senior citizen? You think that most people know a senior citizen? Somebody that's 65 years or older? You think it's possible that
A large percentage.
large percent of people know?
A large percentage of
Okay,
people know senior citizens.
Do you think?
If they are not one.
Yeah, exactly. They probably know at least one. Right?
If they aren't one themselves, they know one.
Do you think they've heard the term Medicare? And if they've heard the term Medicare, do you think they understand what it is? At least in a very basic sense. I'm not talking about, because Medicare is complicated. The whole healthcare in general is very complicated. Talking about just a regular original Medicare. You're talking about Medicare supplements. You're talking about Medicare Advantage, prescription drug coverage, Part A, B, C, D. It's all very complicated. So I'm not imagining that most people have gone through the process to understand every detail about it. But lots of people, and I would argue most people, know that Medicare is coverage for 65 and older. Now, there's a lot more to it, but a lot of people know that it's coverage for people 65 and older. So if it's an actual government-run plan that is popular, by the way, then by saying Medicare for all, you would be conveying the message that it's government-run healthcare.
This thing that exists.
Because it already exists.
This thing that exists.
It's not theorized.
So okay, you're taking this thing that exists.
Yes, currently exists.
For a certain segment of the population.
For decades.
This thing. Okay.
Established.
We're not saying that the thing has a name. We're just saying it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Right.
And we're taking this thing.
Right.
And we're doing this.
Because like this many people have it. This many people have this thing right here, right? This many people have it, and then you just want to open up the circle a little bit,
start divvying it out.
But that's not what. So Andrew Yang is saying that's not actually what Medicare for All is. And he's an intelligent guy.
And
he's an intelligent guy.
All right, now. Within that, I guess, group of Americans, well, I'm sorry, it's not a group of Americans, all Americans.
Yes.
That he said have not read the bill. Let me check and see. Just give me a second.
Okay.
I gotta look something up.
All right.
Gotta look something up. Looks like healthcare providers are Americans. Look at there. Nurses, they're Americans.
Yeah. All healthcare
doctors are Americans.
Right.
Healthcare providers are Americans.
Specialists.
Right. All those people are Americans. He said 0 Americans have read the bill or know what it's about. So he's including all those people. You know who has support from nurses? Biggest nurses union?
Largest.
Is it the largest or second largest?
I think it's the largest. I believe it's the largest.
Either way.
It's pretty big.
That's pretty big. What candidate has support from that group?
Yeah, it's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
It's Bernie Sanders.
They probably haven't read the bill. Well, they don't know anything about the bill.
You know who also doesn't know about the bill? Moderators at the debates. They have no idea what Bernie Sanders' bill is about. That's why they ask questions about the bill, and the other candidates talk about Bernie Sanders' bill.
How are you gonna pay for it?
Yeah. They don't know anything about it though.
Again, that right there is another point that makes Andrew Yang's position even weirder.
Because he's been on the stage.
Been on the stage. It just makes it weird and disingenuous, because if what he is saying is true about, his vision of Medicare for all, and it being the same as Bernie Sanders, and actually he was suggesting that like all the candidates' vision is the same. If that was the case,
why is there so much disagreement?
On stage.
Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Biden, Klobuchar. Why is there so much disagreement? Buttigieg.
Like he
boy, oh boy.
You can tell he this is intentional.
Of course it is.
This is intentional.
This is not a dummy.
This is not a dummy. He's doing it because I think we discussed this before, in that I think he understands that the lane that he wanted to get in as far as being a presidential candidate and like the people he wanted to appeal to, that lane is full. That lane is full and he knows it. And I think he's pivoting because he wants to draw support from the center. Because he knows that the support from progressives is being locked up by Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. And maybe some Warren. But he knows that lane is just congested right now. It's occupied. So he has to go a different route. And I think he feels this is the only route he can go. But it's kind of disappointing considering where he started out from. I wasn't like a big Yang guy, but I was looking at him as somebody who could really, progress this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like during this this election, I thought he was going to be one of those candidates that like kind of pushed the conversation in a direction away from centrism. I really thought that.
Well, that's how he started his campaign. He was pushing the conversation away from centrism, and he's no longer doing that. Look, just to be clear, this is slimy behavior. I want to put it out there. I don't want to beat around the bush and not describe what's going on here. He is conning people. This is slimy behavior that you would expect coming from somebody like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden.
Or Peter Paul Montgomery.
That's correct. But no, it's coming from Andrew Yang, who bills himself as a progressive, and his supporters bill him as the most progressive in the race.
He thinks that Medicare for all is untenable. He thinks it's untenable while at
Medicare for all.
Real Medicare for all, but at the same time saying his Medicare for all is like doable and it's practical and it's the same vision as Medicare for all.
Same vision.
So which is it?
I do believe it's practical. I do believe his vision is practical. Yes, it's very practical because it's the same as what we have going on right now. All right. We're going to change lanes now, okay? We're going to change lanes to the ridiculous of the ridiculous.
This is not just changing lanes. I think we're going off road.
Yeah,
this is
going to get bumpy.
Yeah.
It's you're not ready for it. If you have not seen it, you're not ready for it.
And even when you see it,
I guarantee you're not ready for it.
You're not going to. No,
you ain't ready for it. So, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Liz Crokin. She is a conservative voice, right-wing journalist, commentator, whatever you want to call her. I wouldn't call her a journalist, but she definitely commentates.
Influencer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Influencer.
Not in the right way, but still, the influencer. But she is notable for wading into the waters of conspiracy theory.
Like QAnon-ish?
QAnon-ish. Not even QAnon-ish, because it's not ish. It is, she's right in the heart of QAnon.
Oh, yeah, she's full QAnon?
She's full QAnon.
Full blast?
Yes, full blast. And you'll get a peep of that. But, so, again, in her commentary, she talks a lot about QAnon and what has been prophesized and what's expected to happen. But even last year in January, Crokin stated that she was getting a little bit tired of talking about some things like these mass arrests because they weren't happening. So this is a quote from her in January in 2019. She said, "I'm sick of talking about it. It's so depressing and I'm just over it. I'm going to have to move on because it's just taken such a big toll on me and my health that I don't think I can stay in this fight if it continues to drag on for years and years and if these mass arrests don't happen this year." Well, 2019 is gone and the mass arrest did not happen.
And what are these mass arrests, what is that kind of framed around?
Pedophilia.
And, Donald Trump secretly engaged in some sort of mass takedown of the global pedophile network.
That's correct.
And who is at the center of this pedophile network? It seems to be all people like Obama, Hillary, Bill Clinton. It's like almost no Republicans.
No.
It's pretty much all Democrats.
That's correct.
And everybody's going to be arrested from Obama, Hillary, Mueller,
Right.
just all kinds of people.
The deep state.
Yeah,
they're all engaged in this, right? So that is what is being discussed here. Pedophilia, taking down big names. But again, 2019 has already passed, and these big names have not been taken down. So it seems as though she would, the new year has started. She would be done with it because she was done with it in 2019 and it didn't happen. So she would be done with it now. She's done talking about it, done listening to QAnon and done talking about this. This is going to happen.
Because
getting excited about it.
None of the predictions have panned out. Not one.
So she's over it. She's over it. But she's not. So recently, she put a new video out. Again, talking about pedophilia, talking about the global pedophile network, about these big names that are going to be taken down.
That doesn't include Trump.
Right. Does not include Trump. And she chose to focus on one particular individual, Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks is supposed to be one of these big names that is going to be taken down. And he's looked at as a pedophile. He has a lot of weird activity. She notes that his social media posts are very weird, and it has this coded language about pedophile or pedophilia, this and that, la 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 la. Oh, it's a bit much. But again, we have a couple clips that we want to show you, and on this clip, she gets crazy.
There's a lot of evidence and symbolism with Tom Hanks. I mean, you could go look at some of the work he's done. You can look at some of the skits he's done on Saturday Night Live. You can look at some of the movies he's been in, and there's a lot of symbolism in the work that he's done. I think one of the first movies he did was something about a red shoe. I can't remember the title, sorry. I'm sure you'll write it in the comments, but it was a movie about red shoes. We know that red shoes are significant, symbolic to the occult because they make leather red shoes out of baby's skin.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting it to go there. When I saw this clip for the first time, I saw the rantings of a crazy person, but I did not expect her to say that these shoes or this were made out of baby skin.
Not regular skin. Not regular people, grown people skin. Adult skin. But specifically baby skin. And it's red leather shoes.
Red.
So no other leather shoes, just particularly red. I don't know why, but well, maybe we should look into clowns now. We should definitely look deep into clowns because, as far as I know, most clowns wear those big red shoes. Also, I don't know if I can watch The Wizard of Oz the same way anymore. Dorothy has some explaining
She
to
does
do.
have
No,
some
it's just some
explaining to do.
sparkly red shoes.
Very sparkly, very fancy. Yeah, flashy.
So I'm wondering what the symbolism behind the whole clicking
So the
3
whole
times.
Wizard of Oz was promoting pedophilia
The
now.
whole thing. That's the whole movie.
I told you weren't ready for it. If you hadn't seen that, I doubt anybody could expect that those words were coming. That made of baby skin. So, like you said, not regular skin, not just any regular skin, but baby skin. And then I guess you would have to dye the skin. You would have to dye the skin red because skin don't come in red. Skin don't come in red. So you have to do something to it. But she didn't talk about how that was done. She just talked about, hey, it's like this. She casually noted that this was just understood. I didn't understand that. Anybody understand that? I guess people in her circles, they understand. Oh yeah, yeah. We heard that before.
Anything goes. See, here's the thing. Not to, obviously she is delusional.
Oh, it's more than that. Oh boy.
But when you put your hopes in something,
what do you have to do, man?
You have to, and there's no, I guess, evidence that this particular person is actually doing anything of significance.
There's no wins.
There's no wins.
You can't point to any wins.
You can't point to anything. You have to constantly make things up. That hope that she has is not going away, but it's hope based in, I don't know, because I don't want to assume why she, has this hope in Trump specifically, because all this whole deep state / QAnon taking down, the global pedophile network, all of that surrounds Trump specifically.
It does.
This surrounds
Trump, defending Trump, supporting Trump.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I think that it's an elaborate scheme and an elaborate kind of psychological trapdoor so they can support Trump. You have to believe he is taking down the most vile people, right? You do that so you can look past anything he does. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter what kind of damage he causes. It does not matter what kind of hate he promotes. It doesn't matter how bad of a president he is. It doesn't matter how he abuses his power. It doesn't matter how he divides people. All that doesn't matter. We're not going to look at any of that. You know why? Because guess what? He's taking down the global pedophile network. Right. He's taking down the most vile people.
So we don't have to engage in
politics.
Policy,
we don't have to do that.
His failures, any of that, his abusive language, his corruption. We don't have to look at any of
power.
that.
We don't have to look at any of that.
None of that.
He's
taking down the pedophiles. Again, this is these are the rantings of a very, very, very disturbed, deranged, a mad woman. We have another clip to show you, and again, she's talking about the actor Tom Hanks here.
Q wrote recently this. This actually, he reposted this. It's a duplicate drop. First indictment unsealed will trigger mass population awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm future direction. They will fight, but you are ready. Marker 9Q. So a lot of anons are predicting that Tom Hanks will be the first unsealed, like big name unsealed indictment. You can also do a search in qmap.pub for the word big. And Q's mentioned the word big a lot, and he's mentioned the word big a lot recently. Well, Tom Hanks was in a movie, Big, and of course, the movie is based off of basically pedophilia because he's a little kid in a grown man's body that ends up having a sexual relationship with a grown woman, and so that's creepy within itself. So a lot of anons are theorizing that he could be the first big name unsealed indictment. I think it's a really good theory. Do I know for sure if he is? Of course not, but it would make sense.
She's talking about things that make sense. She's talking about things that make sense. It would make sense if Tom Hanks is the first big name big, if Tom Hanks was the first big name to be announced and to be arrested in this whole global takedown of pedophiles.
This is all an escape, man. This is all an escape.
Of course
man.
it is.
This
man.
is an escape.
Because where are the wins? Again, what they can't point to any wins. What are they? What is Trump? What is this Trump administration actually doing for regular people? Nothing. But we can point to something that can't be proven, can't be disproven. And so, what you gonna do? You can't come at us with anything to like bash our talking points into the ground.
Because it's just made up.
Yeah.
You can't challenge people's imagination.
Exactly.
And that's what they're basing their hopes on, is their imagination, because this world is falling apart, right?
Right.
And they're expecting Trump to put it back together. I don't know why. I don't know why they have hope in Trump in that way, because he doesn't have a history of showing that he can mend relationships. He doesn't have a history of, I guess, showing that he even can engage in honest business practices.
Mm-hmm. But see, this was the perfect storm, though, because Donald Trump was billed as the non-politician. He was billed as the outsider. He wasn't billed as your regular status quo Republican. So this couldn't have happened with somebody like Jeb Bush.
Nah.
This couldn't have happened with Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. It couldn't have happened with somebody like that. But Donald Trump, the outsider, the populist, the one that's running to drain the swamp, well, you can't actually point to things that he is actually doing to get that done, to drain the swamp, to actually represent regular people. But you can make something up, or you can make something up that can't be disproven. Or that's easy. And then you can listen to this Q, whoever this person is, that nobody knows who it is. It's just this blog. Essentially, it's a blog. You have no idea. None of this is corroborated. Nothing has panned out. But this is the word. This is the gospel.
And you're like it's crazy how the claim about Donald Trump, about not being a part of the establishment, is rarely challenged, especially with Republicans and conservatives who support Donald Trump, that kind of carry that narrative. Because what is the establishment, essentially, right? What is the establishment, essentially? Because if you look at Trump's past and how he's engaged in politics, he's donated to both sides, and he admitted that. And the reason for donating to both sides was what, Will? What was his reasoning?
Well, to get favors.
To get favors no matter who is in office.
Exactly, yes.
So his whole life has been about, like, keeping this system intact.
Right. Having that access.
Having that access.
Yeah.
So simply because he never had a political position didn't make him not establishment. No. We got into it with some QAnon light person. And when we brought all this stuff up, not only his past, but his present, his current cabinet, his current administration.
Oh, shit, you're about to go there. I know where
you know where I'm going. I mean, we let it. We laid everything out. Yeah. We were like, okay, if Trump is so anti-establishment, why is his cabinet filled with the same people?
Right.
And this person said, I'm paraphrasing, he can't be establishment because he wasn't a career politician. I was like, wait a second.
Oh, gosh.
Most corporate CEOs, most corporations that buy our politicians, they've never had an official government position, but they're a part of this, right?
Yeah, they're definitely a part of it.
They're a part of it.
It can't go without them. This can't keep, like the movement.
Guess what? I can't criticize Jeff Bezos anymore.
You can't.
I can't criticize him.
Nope.
Because he never had an official government position.
No. Who are those top Republicans?
About lobbyists.
Well, the one that has since died. But those top, the brothers in the Republican Party, the top donors to the Republican Party? Koch brothers. I was going to say Cohn, but yeah.
Koch brothers. Adelsons.
Yeah.
Mercers. They support Trump.
But not establishment. But not establishment. No. again, establishment. All establishment really means is that these are people that are doing the most to keep things as they are, or if they're trying to change anything, it's for the betterment of the people that are already at the top.
And it wouldn't be just like members of Congress who are a part of that establishment.
No.
The political establishment just doesn't represent people who hold office.
Right. And it can't sustain itself. It does need the corporate class of people. And that would have been Trump.
That has been Trump.
Yeah.
That has been Trump his entire life, and that has been Trump his entire administration. So again, there's people who are kind of putting all their eggs in one basket, Trump being that basket, and they have hope in Trump for some reason. And I don't honestly think it's the reason that they are illustrating. I think there's some sort of underlying reason why they support Trump, but they have to invent a reason to support Trump, and some people go further than others. I think this is no different. Any of this QAnon stuff?
This is I wasn't ready for it. I honestly I wasn't ready for it. I've seen her before.
Oh no, I saw her.
I've seen her before.
I think she's been at one of those rallies. I think she was interviewed at one of those Trump rallies, and I think I saw her make some sort of car video one time.
She's definitely known in right wing. I don't know if your established right wing voices want to do or want to associate with somebody like her. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Hey, but Trump be sharing some QAnon accounts.
Oh yeah, he does.
I've seen him
He definitely does.
retweet QAnon accounts.
But there are definitely many of those on the right wing that are not comfortable with that.
I guess.
Not outwardly, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit, man. But
of course they wouldn't be comfortable with that, because not just because it's crazy, but because if there was some sort of takedown of all pedophiles, some of your people might get caught up in that.
But no, it's not the Republicans. It's all Democrats.
And again, and that's what like kind of makes all of it distasteful, because it's partisan, and that's a lot of conspiracy is partisan.
Right.
A lot of people are like conspiracy theorists, but it just seems as if their conspiracy it's like always directed towards like partisanship.
Which
it's
is
just
why
that
it's funny.
They just kind of dip into conspiracy to separate themselves from the masses, but they still retain this kind of false dichotomy, this two-party system. They still maintain those same ideas. They just go into conspiracy theory to try to figure things out, and they maintain this partisanship, and it's still good and bad based on their presumptions, based on their preconceived ideas that they already had before they went into conspiracy.
But it's funny because, as you're saying, that
these
people that are they're delving into these partisan attacks, really, of Democrats, and saying that only the Democrats are the pedophiles. It's funny because where we're at right now is we're in the middle of impeachment of Donald Trump, and the Republican Party is saying that this is a partisan process. This is a partisan process. There's no merit to it whatsoever. But on your side, and like I said, a lot of these people don't want to outwardly, I guess, represent or associate themselves with, what do you call them? Anons? Anons? They're Anons? Okay. You're Anons. I didn't know that, but okay. They don't want to associate with these Anons because it's a little bit too crazy for even those very right-wing Republicans.
We're not talking about like conspiracy researchers either.
No.
We're not talking about conspiracy.
These are not conspiracy researchers.
These are not conspiracy researchers.
These are fools.
These are fools. We're not talking about actual conspiracy researchers.
These are fools reading a blog and believing everything that they're reading, just because it's promoting the idea that Trump is actually taking down pedophiles with no solid evidence. Nothing that can be verified, nothing that's corroborated, nobody's been arrested, nothing is on the brink. It's just words on a screen, and that's it.
Let's just say I got blocked for sharing data from the past 10 years on, I guess, I forgot what they call it, but human trafficking statistics.
Right.
I got blocked for sharing the data for the past 10 years.
You sure did. Quit.
She quit as soon as I shared that data.
Now I thought you were gonna get blocked earlier than that because dude was trying to be funny. Insulting. I mean, like, but in a smooth way though. In a smooth way, but it was very insulting. It was like, damn, oh, she about to block you right now though. But no, she didn't. Like, she took all of that in stride, commented back, didn't say nothing. But then when you actually started posting statistics that can't be
data,
you know, these are like just hard numbers that it's coming from the government as well.
Trump's government.
And as soon as that happened, then it was, all right, conversation over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Oh, man. But yeah, we don't usually wade into these waters because it is so crazy. It's so ridiculous. It's not even worth the time to discuss. But we do discuss the very ridiculous.
But I think it's connected to 2016, and it's going to be connected to 2020. And the stuff that's out there and the stuff that the president is retweeting, something that like we haven't seen before.
And also, it's not going to stop, clearly, because even Liz Crokin, even Liz Crokin said in 2019 she was done with this. You know, if these arrests did not happen this year, I'm done. It's affecting my health. I'm done with this. If I don't see any arrests, then like, what's this all for, right? 2020 is right here. This is the second day of 2020. And she's like, oh, I got as much energy as I ever had. Oh, yeah, let's keep going. Tom Hanks, pedophile. Shoes, red shoes, baby skin. What you want? I got more.
Again, when your conspiracy theory, which is essentially based on your imagination, not conspiracy research, just a theory based on your imagination, when it doesn't pan out, which none of this has, what happens is they have to be more convoluted and go deeper. It has to, because you have to rearrange the narrative to continue the conspiracy theory or conspiracy imagination, not conspiracy research. Those two things. I wish people would make those distinctions, because as soon as somebody calls themselves a conspiracy theorist, all of a sudden they think they, deserve this massive amount of credit. They think they deserve some sort of special treatment. Like, I'm not, I don't follow mainstream news.
Right.
Like, okay, that in of itself is good.
Yeah, no.
I don't mean everything else is true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you're a conspiracy theorist, like that don't mean I gotta believe everything you come up with. Your mugs are not conspiracy researchers. Y'all need to be conspiracy researchers.
Well, they are, but they're remote researchers.
Oh,
yeah,
true.
They're remote researchers. Yeah, they do all their researching from a computer screen. Like, they don't actually go to these locations to find out any hard evidence or anything like that, get any clues, talk to people, actually gather intel. No, they look at a computer screen, they look at a blog, and that's all they need.
That's the research.
That's the research. That's the intel. So, yeah. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Of course, there's going to be more. 2020 is not going to be any different than 2019 in that regard. And if Trump loses, oh my gosh, if he loses in 2020, I mean, these people are still going to be here. You can't go that deep into the most ridiculous of ideas with no solid evidence. I'm talking about conspiracy theories that are completely just, you can't go there and then come back to like a regular lifestyle. There's no way you can do that. So I don't know where these people are going to find their outlet. Trump is going to remain there. So I don't know if he's going to keep giving these people what they need. I don't know if QAnon is still going to be there, the blog or whatever, but they're not coming back.
Smitty, a hypothesis is an explanation with very little evidence. A hypothesis is some sort of theory.
It's like an educated guess.
An educated guess that needs further investigation. Yeah. And also we needed to clarify what is actual evidence. What a lot of people present as evidence is actual theory itself. That's what we see a lot of people doing. So the theory itself is created by constructing other theories that are actually not evidence. You can't say something is possible and therefore it's evidence. This is what we see, and that's what we're talking about here. We see a lot of people say, it's possible, therefore it's true. So they arrange all these possibilities and then create a narrative, and they call that a theory. So basically it's a bunch of theories that haven't been verified, or possibilities that are arranged and constructed to form a narrative. That's not sound.
In this video by Liz Crokin, again, it was a over 30-minute video, and she talks about Tom Hanks a lot. She encourages her viewers to go, I guess, investigate Tom Hanks themselves. Investigate Tom Hanks. Really, that means investigate his social media posts, I guess. And so she was talking about his social media posts. And because she said, like, when she heard that Tom Hanks' name was being, I guess, inserted into this conversation, into this global pedophile network, she was taken aback. Like, she didn't want to believe it at first, but then she did the investigation, and then she found that, yes, obviously he has a part in this. So what she points to is, again, his social media accounts. And she points to weird activity where he posts, and I'm not even sure if this is true because I don't think I follow Tom Hanks, so whatever. But she says that he posts like items of maybe missing children or something like that. I'm not sure. Like items that may have been left somewhere, this like a park or something like that. And like, hey, like if you have any information about this, something like that. And that's like what he posts. So, but she says through these posts, they're written weirdly. So it's code message for this is pedophile talk.
Oh, like it's like coded message to other pedophiles.
Yes. I'm just telling you what the woman said, man. Also, oh, I didn't show this. Okay. Also, she actually made reference to, I got something worse. So she made reference to a picture in which Tom Hanks was in a picture with Oprah Winfrey. And I don't know if I remember the second person. I believe there was another person there. But she said that they were in this picture together. Tom Hanks may have been holding up a sign saying, like, I can't, they won't let me talk or something like that. In the background, she said she saw a clock, I think, that was made out of, I think she said hot dogs and pizza. And see, you know what hot dogs and pizza mean. Oh, and she said because of the John Podesta emails, we know a lot about this coded language and about what pizza means and this and that, and it's all pedophilia and this and that. You know what I find very interesting is that there is also a different meaning for pizza, and it's not pedophilia. It's like nudity. It's literally like somebody's pizza is good. You're talking about somebody's, I don't know, like, like I said, sexual, not childlike stuff, but it could be body parts, it could be sex itself, whatever.
Yo, man, you know how many code words we had when we was teenagers to kind of be like out in the open with what we saw,
but not
like
actually say it.
Yeah, we knew it was about something vulgar, but we could say it out in the open without it being called out. You know what I'm saying? I remember. Man, I was back in middle school, right? I know it was like seventh grade. We came up with a word for cleavage. But we had to be inconspicuous.
Of course you did.
You had to be inconspicuous.
Nobody could know.
Like how you look at like, you in middle school and you be like, yo, man, look at that. Look at them titties. You can't be like that.
No, you can't.
You cannot be like that. So you got to find some way to send a message to your boys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Your hormones are raging. You like seeing anything. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter. You like seeing anything. So we came up with a word for cleavage. We called it Cleveland. called it Cleveland. So when somebody yelled out, Cleveland, where at? just follow the voice. Boys are stupid, boys. Boys are dumb.
But
We're
again,
dumb.
there's
We're
code,
dumb.
and that's not just talking about when you're teenagers. I mean, adults do this as well. If you
hell
go
yeah,
on
adults do
social
it too.
media, there is a lot, especially when you're talking about social media. That of course on Twitter you can show nudity. On Facebook, Instagram, you can't show nudity. Well, not so much. I guess on Instagram they kind of I don't know if they blur the lines or what, but they kind of push the envelope. Let's say that. But there's still a lot of coded language because you don't want the developers, you don't want, Facebook staff or whatever like that to know what you're talking about, what this group is about or whatever like that, what you're actually promoting here. And especially now in 2019, going on to 2020, camming is a really big thing.
Oh, you mean like webcams?
Webcamming is a really
that junk
big
is
thing.
big.
It's huge.
Yo.
And so people get on these platforms to sell their services, but they don't sell them in an outwardly way. They use coded language. They don't just put naked pictures of themselves out there. They don't say, "Hey, I got some videos of me doing this." And
well, some of them do. Some of them are real blatant.
But if you do that, then you're gonna let, like I said, Facebook and Instagram know that this is what you're doing, and I don't believe they allow that on their platforms. So you run the risk of your account being suspended. That's not what they want. So they create a way to code their language. There's so many reasonable explanations for what these anons believe is pedophilia.
Or there's reasonable
That goes back
explanations
years,
for certain things that happen, and people have to come up with elaborate conspiracies. Like I'm into conspiracy research. Shoot, that's kind of where I got my start. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I got my start when I started branching out. Like when I was 19, 20, maybe 21.
It's not bad to question things.
Yeah, no, but you don't take what is possible and make that reality. We talked about this when it happened with the Las Vegas shooting.
Right.
Again, it's we step back from everything. It's we step back from everything, whether it be something on the mainstream or whether it's some bullshit people were talking about on alternative media. We step back from it all. We don't pay attention to anybody. We just look at it for what it is. There was one kind of main conspiracy theory that for some reason has not died down to this day, and that was 2 years ago. Remember when people were saying that there was another shooter? Mm-hmm. Remember they were saying there was another shooter and there was proof. Mm-hmm. And because there was gunfire coming from these windows and you could see the lights flashing. And then it turns out you see camera footage of the windows and the lights flashing in all the windows in the front of the hotel because those are strobe lights in the window. Yeah. And you have people talking about how those are gunshots, multiple shooters. And I'm like, how come you can't hear them?
And how come
there's no broken windows?
No broken windows.
And there was a video that had 5 million views.
It was absurd. It was disappointing. And people were sharing these videos this is proof. The windows aren't broken. What are you talking about? This is proof.
I was like, no.
They're just grabbing onto anything. It doesn't need to make sense. It does not need to make sense because I'm not sure how they explained away that the windows weren't broken. I'm not sure how they did that. I'm sure they tried. I'm not sure how they did it.
No, they definitely explained it.
Yeah,
not in a good way.
Yeah, but they'll find any way. There's a trapdoor for anything. They just keep rifling through their bag. The bag is long, man. Straight up. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not gonna stop. Clearly, Liz Crokin said it's not gonna stop. She kind of suggested it would, with no arrests coming in 2019. But this is a new year, man. People are feeling that rejuvenated spirit. Hey, let's get these pedophiles, man. Let's get them. It's gonna happen.
Oh, it looks like you have some anti-war news brought up, Will.
I do.
You got, I believe, someone in the chat. Who was it? Mentioned something about it.
It was, let's see, Ron Wynn.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, airstrike just happened. It's being reported. Top Iranian general reportedly killed in Baghdad airstrike. This is according to state TV in Iraq.
Boy, they are trying to start something. Boy, they're trying to start something. They're trying to start something big time.
It says the U.S. Central Command said it had no information about this attack as of right now. So it's not immediately clear who conducted this airstrike.
Yeah.
This doesn't stop, man. It does not stop. But anyway, all right. Well, look, we've had this image flashing by for a while. If anybody wanted to call and join the conversation, obviously nobody wants to call and give us a few remarks or has any questions for us. So that's cool, though. We do see a lot of people talking in the chat. And I did want to highlight something that Moose Gal said earlier. We did, I believe earlier in 2019, we talked about how on January 1st this year, 2020, that Illinois would become the latest state to legalize recreational use of marijuana, and they did just that. And I believe Moose Gal said over $3 million was spent on cannabis on the first day. So
I am not surprised.
I am not surprised whatsoever. Whatever state it is, I'm sure there's going to be a surge, especially in those first few months, and really the first year is going to be a surge. But yeah, we do know that it adds a lot to the economy. It adds a lot to, like I said, it adds a lot to the economy. So definitely for it. Unfortunately, in South Carolina, I don't see that on the cusp of happening. I don't believe we're going to be probably going to be one of the last.
Probably one of the last. If it ever happens here, we'll be dragged.
Oh yeah,
kicking and screaming.
One of the last. Yeah, it would take something. It would take something. I don't foresee it happening anytime soon. What else we got? Let's see. Any more questions out here? Let me see. Jan Morgan said, "Love you guys. Appreciate that, Jan. Miss you guys. Miss what we do here." I know a lot of people are talking about the conspiracy crap. Crokin's mess. Smitty, man. You're still not being open and transparent on your position about Daphne versus Velma. Why are you running from controversy?
I think we already.
We went
into it, man. What you talking about?
I think he's.
We went into it, bro. What you talking about?
I think he's.
Stop it. Stop playing.
We concluded that it was Daphne.
Daphne.
Yes, we concluded it was Daphne. Yes. After vast analysis, approaching this thing from many different ways.
It was like we talked about that thing for like a half hour, man.
Show pictures.
Yeah, man. We were treating it like a serious topic of discussion. Man. Hey, man, if y'all put it out there,
yeah, man,
you know what I'm saying? We'll have fun with it.
Do the most, man.
Especially, if it was a pop culture question, but it was kind of fun.
Yes. He might have missed it. He said you went into it and finished with, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we got back to it.
We got back to it. Maybe we'll point you in the right direction. I don't know which show it was.
Yeah.
We'll have to find it and then let you know, because it's definitely during the end portion of the show. Excuse me.
Yo, anybody got any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, true.
I don't personally. I don't think I've ever had one. I think I had one accidentally one time, and that was when I started my locks.
Oh, okay.
When I started my locks, I think I was saying I must start I started my locks in January of 2008, 2000. I've cut them a few times since then. A few weeks ago, I cut them about 5 or 6 inches, but I started them in 2008. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I started them in 2008. I wanted to keep my hair because I have been getting braids, cornrows. Yeah, I've been getting cornrows, but man, every 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, that's a commitment. Yo, that's a commitment, man.
I was spending like 50 every 2 weeks, and that junk is kind of stressful.
Oh yeah, man.
You gotta blow the hair out.
Yeah, I never went to
braided
braid.
back.
I, never
I got
braided
used
back.
to it, but man, I was getting them braids every 2 weeks to keep them fresh. But it's not, actually, in the long run, it's not good for your hair because it pulls on it
Yeah,
too
it
much,
does.
so it breaks. So I had some hang time, but it just wouldn't go further. It would never go further than my shoulders because it's hard to moisturize braids that are still in your hair because all the hair is so tightly compacted. It doesn't matter how many times you spray your hair, it's not going to get down in there, so it just dries out. So I was like, man, I want to keep my hair, but I don't want to keep my hair in braids. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was just like wearing it in like a little fro or just like a little messy. I would just keep it taped up. I was just picking it out. But that shit got so tedious, having to wake up an hour early just so I could pick my fro out. I'm like, man, I can't do this. So I was like, man, I'm gonna get locks in 2008.
Yeah, I started mine unintentionally. My barber left town. My barber moved to VA.
That is right. That is right. You told me that.
Moved to VA, and I was like, damn. Because once you get a good barber, that's it. I mean, you're not bouncing around.
You don't want nobody else in your head.
Nah, hell no.
And you comfortable with that person's hands on you,
Hell
and they
yeah.
have a certain energy to them.
Yeah, and
too.
you have that. You have a
Rapport.
relationship with that person too.
Yeah,
And the dude was cool as what, but he moved back to VA. So I was like, damn. So I went to the same shop and had one of the other guys. I was kind of familiar with him, but didn't like it whatsoever. So I was like, gotta find somewhere else. I let it grow for a good while, but then I was like, okay, let me get it cut. Went to some other place I did not know. Walked up in there, got it cut. Didn't like it whatsoever again. I said, shit, I'm just gonna let it grow. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna let it grow. So it grew into a pretty thick afro. And then I was like, look.
You want to keep it, but
Yeah.
the
I was like-
maintenance on.
It was getting to a point where I was like, look, either I'm gonna have to cut all this off or I'm gonna have to dread it up.
Dread it up, yeah.
And so I was like, let me just go ahead and dread this up, man, because I can't trust nobody anyways. So I just went ahead and dreaded it up. That was 2003, man. That was 2003. So it's been a long time since I had it. My kids have not known me without dreads, no doubt. Actually, damn, my niece and nephew don't know me without dreads, actually.
That is right.
Yeah. They don't even know me without dreads.
You know, this wasn't like the first time. This wasn't the first dread attempt.
It wasn't?
Like you didn't. I don't think you saw the first dread attempt. I went to this chick, and she did them, and like when she was done, I looked in the mirror. I was like, "Is this how they supposed to look?" In my head, I was like, "I don't know. I'll keep them in for a couple weeks. I know they can come out or whatever."
Yeah.
But they were a little bit thicker, and they hung different. So I was just like, I don't know. So I kept them for 2 weeks.
Right.
Or maybe 3 weeks. It was probably when I was like, you know what? It just didn't feel right. I was like, I don't like these. So I just like kind of, untangled them or whatever.
Damn,
they
had been a process though.
Yeah, they didn't lock yet. It was 3
they didn't
weeks.
lock, okay.
So they didn't lock yet. So I untangled them, just combed it out. I was like, all right, I gotta find somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I still to this day don't know how I found this chick. Think she was like, I didn't know where to go. So I just went to some random salon and I found this chick named Natasha, and like she started mine, and that's how I got these. And she kept going, and then she moved away, so I had to find somebody else. And the first person I went to, I didn't like her energy, yo. Like I didn't even like how she was like her hands. I didn't like how her hands were hitting my head. It just seemed real like. I'm like, where you? It just felt like I'm like, why are you in my head like that? Yeah. And then she was talking reckless about things, and I was like, yo, your energy ain't right. Like you seem so negative. Like you're whack. Like you got something to say. Like you just seem like an unhappy person. I can't have some unhappy person in my hair every 6 weeks or every 2 months. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody in my hair taking part in like creating some sort of style every few weeks in my hair every week. I can't have somebody, so I'm not going to her. So it took me about going to 3 different people to find the right chick. But
I found it took me twice because I think I got a recommendation from somebody at work because I worked with nothing but women, so they knew other women and they knew women that did hair. So it only took me that one. But the first time, I had no problem with the woman that did my hair, but what happened was that first initial like dreading your hair up. That just took 7 hours. Took 7 because she had other clients too. But the whole process, it takes a long time. I was there for like 7 hours, and then so at the end, like I didn't have enough money. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize I didn't have the money. I was like, yo, I'll be right back, right? So there was a ATM that was like, bam, like 1 minute away. Went to the ATM, bam, got money, came back, cop cars all over the place. I was like, damn, what the hell? I was like, what? Not walked up in there. I just pulled up and talked to the office. I was like, I was just coming to drop off some money. She's like, yeah, the place just got robbed. I was like, damn. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if, like, because it must have happened right after I walked out. So I don't know if I was the only guy in there. Maybe somebody was peeping the shop, waiting for me to leave or something.
Yeah, but
I don't know what happened.
probably waiting for you to leave.
Yeah,
so there wouldn't be no static.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I was gone for no more than 5 minutes. No more than 5 minutes.
Damn, son.
Yeah, I was like, good damn, man. So I gave the money to the cop. Gave it,
Probably the most efficient way to find someone to do your hair or a good person is to find someone who has hair that you like, and be like, yo, where do you get your hair?
Where'd you get your hair?
So that's what I did. I saw somebody in a chicken Walmart. I was like, yo, where do you go?
Well, I get mine done free now.
Oh, true that.
The wife hooked me up. Thank you. Well, yeah, man. Like we said at the beginning, we, new year, new things. You were going into resolutions, stuff like that. I want to work out. Some more. I always start working out, then hit like a pause, then start working out, hit a pause. So I want to do it a little bit more consistently. But other than that, I mean, that's something that I always want to do, so I can't call it a resolution.
Yeah, because it's just something that you're just taking a break from. It's not like some new thing.
No, it's not some new thing.
Yeah.
I just, I think just, every day, just try to be a better person, man. Just try to be a better person. Try to do what you can to look out for other people, definitely other people that are in worse positions than you are.
I guess we ain't got no callers.
No, we ain't got no callers. Okay. But yeah, just try to be a better human. I
seen this trending a lot, and maybe it has to do with people looking forward to 2020 and the new year and whatnot. But I saw this trending on Twitter and Facebook, where people were talking about, I guess, the qualities of a person, or the political traits of a person that they may be interested in dating. A lot of people were saying like, yo, like if your politics ain't right, your social politics ain't right, then I can't date you. Yeah. A lot of people were saying that. I wonder how y'all feel about that.
I saw that.
Like not just the person that individual supports, not like a candidate, but like political platform.
Right.
Right? Because I would think that's a representation of a worldview.
Yeah.
That's a representation of a particular viewpoint, how you see things, how you see people. So I can see where people are coming from. I was wondering, like, y'all watch the show, how y'all feel about that? Like,
I think I could be friends with somebody that had a different take on politics. I think I could be friends with that person.
Meghan McCain? One thing, I've seen this though. I've seen people.
A little bit too loud.
I don't think it's just about the lies.
But no, I'm not talking about voice. Okay. I'm talking about the outward loudness of our politics.
But okay, like when you say friends, there's sometimes in life that people become our friends. We just kind of got thrown together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I see that a lot. Sometimes there are some friends of mine that are like, yo, how did I become friends with this person?
Yeah, I don't think I could make friends, at least make good friends with somebody I already know it's a certain way. Okay. Like if I was already friends with them and then some information emerged and was like, oh, you like this, oh, like that, over the course of maybe some months, some years, especially if you're talking about from childhood. Because of course, childhood, you don't regularly talk about politics, and childhood to adulthood, people go different ways, different lanes, and so of course you're gonna be different people. So that might happen where your good friend back in the day is a Republican now, and it's like, oh, okay. But you could still be friends with that person. Maybe not a very good friend.
Maybe not a good,
an acquaintance, something like that. We got people like that here, of course.
On that next level, though.
An intimate partner? I can't see that working. I know there's examples of that, but I honestly cannot see that happening. I had, a little bit of that. That didn't work. That didn't work. I can't see that happening, because especially when, if you care, like if you care about the world, if you care about the country, if you care about people, and you're with somebody that has the opposite type of mind frame, like they're coming at it from a whole different point of view, where their politics seems to insinuate that they don't care. I don't see how it's gonna work. I don't know how it's gonna work. It couldn't work for me.
Well, like, my experience with that probably has been similar.
Yeah.
As yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you start to get to know that person, it's like, wow, it's like there is definitely a reflection there. There's definitely a reflection. I was like, I could see, I'm like, so it's not even about their worldview. Mm-hmm. It goes deeper than that, because you can see kind of how that they have a distorted view of the world. I guarantee you, when you get to know them, mm-hmm. and how I guess when you interact with them, they kind of have a distorted idea about interpersonal relationships too, mm-hmm. because their distorted idea about the world has to do with how people relate in and of itself. Yeah. On a larger scale. So when they get involved in interpersonal relationships, those flaws and those distortions manifest in those interpersonal and intimate relationships. I have witnessed that firsthand. Like, damn, like, you have a lot of whack views, but they don't just reflect, like, on the macro. Mm-hmm. Like, when you talk to me, I can feel all that shit when we get involved in conversations, right. Or we have like conflicts or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can see how that, like, all that creates blockages. It's like,
look, if you have a partner, it's supposed to be, like, you can be different. Of course, you want there to be some independence, but I think on the major issues, there should probably be some agreement, because these are probably the major issues that each one of you care about. If you can't coalesce on those, if you can't come together on those, there's going to be some conflict. And I like what Lisa said, not Trump supporters. That's true, because we're not just talking about your regular Republican that's from, like, the year 2000, from the year 1990, from the year 1980, stuff like that. These Trump-publicans, I heard that, these Trump-publicans are different in the way they express themselves outwardly. Now, I can't say that, like, if we go back to the last Republican president, George W. Bush, was he a racist? I don't know. I mean, I won't say that I know that he wasn't. Could he have been a racist? He could have been a racist. I don't know. But does he handle himself differently than Donald Trump? Yes, definitely. And what Donald Trump does is he promotes this idea that you can be big and bold with your racism, with your bigotry, with your xenophobia. So with that type of person, if you are a Trump supporter in 2020, nah, we can't get down. Not at all. I don't even think I want your friendship. Nah, I'm good.
Yo, it's funny you say that, because my mom, she's kind of retired now, but she still has a job. She retired from her job that she had for over 20 years, but she still works. So she is the receptionist at a car dealership. Uh-huh. She says there's some Trump supporters there, mostly all men, mostly all white men. Uh-huh. And she said that they would kind of get into it. But lately, she said they don't talk to her no more.
Oh, really?
Especially after impeachment. She said they don't talk to her no more. They don't talk to her no more. Kind of put their head down.
Yeah, man. Like I said, especially if you're talking about an intimate partner, again, if you feel strongly, if you're passionate about humanity, about what's best for humans in general, and, trying to protect those that are disadvantaged and disenfranchised, like,
Basically, if somebody is like not interested in creating an equitable society, what kind of household do you think that person will promote?
Like that's
if y'all
gonna
have
show up in different areas.
Yeah, what kind of household do you think that person is going to, I don't know, like establish? What
it's gonna be some
like
conflict.
what kind of there's gonna be some
It's
conflict.
gonna be some conflict.
Like if you have kids with that person, like I don't want none of that stuff going to my kids. I don't want my children to discriminate against anybody. I don't want my children to be ableist. Right. I don't want my children to be homophobic. I want what I'm saying. I want my children to feel like they're superior to anyone, be over anyone. I don't want any of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
And also,
so if there's somebody who is the opposite of that, then.
But we know where the two biggest areas of conflict are, and that's politics and religion. That's probably the two biggest, and those are the two. Like, I mean, if you don't really agree with me on politics, then we probably ain't gonna be able to kick it. And on religion, if you are devout, like if you are there on religion, like it's like a major part of your life, and it's like, yo, God is the way, this and that, and I'm going to church on Sunday, Wednesday, all these days, and like, no, I can't do that. We can't do that.
That don't make any sense. You know what?
See, this is the guy that and we see some comments here, but yeah, Angelo Jones. Angelo Jones comments on some of our YouTube videos, and I believe Angelo Jones is the guy that had wanted to call in at a certain period to educate us about something. I believe that. I can't remember what specific subject that was, but he has not called in as of yet.
What do you think about his real estate history and discriminating against black people? And when you say someone's a bigot, you acknowledge that person's a bigot. Well, who are they bigoted against? Bigotry is not some vague term. That's not some vague term you throw out there. The bigotry is directed towards some group for some reason. You can't say, well, I don't think he's racist, but I think he's a bigot. And I think he's a bigot, but it's okay as long as he treats me good. That doesn't make sense. That's some backwards ass shit. Again, what do you think about his history as far as discriminating against black people as far as his properties?
Yeah, because it goes back further.
His political history. What about the Central Park Five? What about what he said about NFL players? Not only did he say that they should be kicked out of the NFL, he said they should be kicked out of the country. He also said that same thing about 4 congresswomen of color. Go back to where you came from. Go back to their country. Their country is here. So what is he talking about?
Discriminated against black people in his building.
What about him sharing? Speaking of Colin Kaepernick, because that whole NFL situation has to do with Colin Kaepernick. He was retweeting Nick Bosa, who was on the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Bosa was talking shit about Colin Kaepernick and has posted some racist shit. He was retweeting that. Also, Trump was retweeting white supremacist Twitter accounts too.
He's done that.
He's done that multiple times.
Yes.
What more do you need to see?
Yes. You remember, I think this was before he became president of the United States, but he tweeted out it was a retweet of some fake ass image about how black people are the ones that are most responsible for white deaths, which is completely false. He said, the image said that black people were the majority responsible for black deaths and white deaths. White people ain't doing nothing.
That's a magical Negro shit right there, boy.
Yeah. But Trump ain't, racist. Trump ain't a bigot. Nah, his actions can be excused.
Also, okay. If Trump isn't a racist or a bigot, who wants to tell David Duke that? When they had that big Unite the Right rally, there was a whole bunch of open white supremacists there. David Duke being one of them. He was a former Grand Wizard, right?
Mm-hmm. But they're confused.
You're telling me they're confused, not us.
Right.
Like someone needs to tell them they're supporting the wrong candidate. He was there saying that Donald Trump actually doesn't go far enough, but we support Donald Trump because we think that he can usher in the white nationalism that we've been wanting to. Now, why would someone believe that? Someone wouldn't believe that about me, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people have support and it's beyond their control, but when you have something specific that people believe and they support a person or a candidate because of that thing, there's a reason for it. They think Trump is going to do this, and that. Why would they think that?
What about and I believe this was again before he became president, but Judge Curiel, that was a judge overseeing a case against him, and he was saying that he couldn't be impartial because his heritage is Mexican. So he knew what he had said was pretty shitty about Mexicans, rapists, murderers.
He told on himself. He's telling
on himself. And he said that because of that reason, this guy who has Mexican heritage, he's not going to be impartial on this case.
Because again, that's a tell right there. Trump is saying, "Damn, I said some fucked up shit.
Right.
I said some very disparaging things about a whole group of people, but I'm not going to call those things disparaging. I'm just going to say they're the truth." So when there's a judge that has to rule on something that pertains to me, I'm gonna say he can't be fair. Why can't he be fair, Trump? He can't be fair because you said some shitty stuff about Mexicans, and you know it, but you won't call it.
But now
shit.
he doesn't want to be penalized because he said some shitty shit.
He's telling himself. He's not very, it's very revealing, unknowingly revealing.
But whatever.
You sure you don't want to call us up?
Well,
and
he said
educate
he
us?
said he's in the hospital with his newborn, so congratulations on that. And hey, the phone line is always going to be open when we're on, unless we don't have time or something like that. But you can definitely give us a shout. We're usually here Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 7 o'clock to whatever 9, something like that. So yeah, you have the opportunity. So. But anyway, let's get to some super chat. So we got D. Scully with the message: comparative government political scientists aren't neutral. Leftists support democracy. Rightists fight for and aid in installing authoritarian governments.
Essentially, that is correct. If you are conservative, by definition, you are advocating for some, not just a traditional household, but traditional control, right. traditional way of governing that kind of consolidates power to a few people.
Yes. You're not fighting for democracy at all. It's not one of your principles. It's not what you care about. You care about, like you said, funneling power to the top. That's it.
That's kind of the. No, go ahead. Deal with the super chats. I don't want to.
Gia Randon, thank you very much. Gia Randon is with us in 2020. That's what's up. Mandy Sadowski with the dapping.
I like that. I like that.
I thought it was boxing gloves for a second, but that's tight right there.
A little pound in the dap.
Yeah, I like that. Appreciate that, Mandy. And then let me see if I can see what Final Fantasy Draft said. It's not showing me the message here. Let me see if I can scroll up and see. Here we go. Your take on Yang's healthcare lies and Assange stance. The last part, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Assange stance just in general? Like, do we think...
in general, maybe.
In general, do we think he should be... should have been, indicted for anything? No, off the top of my head. I think most of the reasons that they were using are bullshit, but, I have a more nuanced view of Assange than most people, but I just think that Assange kind of played his cards incorrectly. I think maybe some of the reason why he is where he is right now is because he took some gambles or whatever and aligned with certain people, thinking that it was going to help him out.
Yeah, he shot his shot.
He shot his shot.
It didn't work.
He shot his shot with the Trump administration because he thought there was some sort of aligned interest. And I think that proved his humanity. And I think that's what is important about looking at figures like him, not to deify him, not to create some sort of savior or Superman out of people like that. Just understand that there is still some personal beliefs and personal leanings that they have that may cause them to make wrong moves, even if they are essentially, for the most part, trying to, do something honest.
So it's not just general. He said Assange should stand trial. Kyle covered it. So yeah, that's not something that's different than what Representative Tulsi Gabbard said as well, which went completely unnoticed by her most devout supporters. She said that though. She said that yes, I can't remember the exact words. I remember I had them written down, but yeah, in her commentary, when she was being interviewed right afterwards, she said that, yes, that should be worked out through the course of a trial. And I was saying,
You're saying
hold on.
the rest is justified.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. If you're saying that,
if he should stand trial, then you're saying that there's merit
to the
him
arrest,
being
indicted
arrested.
and extradited.
But everybody else, the people that support Tulsi Gabbard, were saying that these charges were absolute bullshit and he should be freed immediately.
If the charges are bullshit,
then he shouldn't stand trial.
He
That's
should
be freed. That's what you should say. If you don't see any merit in these charges, then you should say, no, these are some bullshit right here. You don't have to say it like that. You're a representative. You're a United States representative. You don't have to say bullshit. But you can say it in some other way that these charges lack merit. He should not stand trial for anything. I don't see anything of substance here. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to vote present. Something. But no, she said that he should stand trial.
Final Fantasy, we thought so too. Exactly. I'm just as flabbergasted. We thought she was for, Julian Assange, and then she came out with that statement.
Yeah.
And again,
nobody said nothing
about it. And again, that was us talking about Tulsi Gabbard in the same way we talk about her now.
Yeah.
Talking about, we thought she was being a fence sitter at that moment. But when she was being a fence sitter about something that everybody could agree on, nobody said shit. Nobody pushed back. Nobody said shit.
Why you riding the fence, Tulsi? Nobody said that.
When we pointed out she was riding the fence on Julian Assange, something that most people were united on, nobody said anything. But y'all only want to get mad if we talk about Tulsi riding the fence on certain things y'all disagree with. But she was riding the fence on something that most of y'all agree with. Y'all ain't saying shit.
On Andrew Yang and his healthcare, this mangling of what Medicare for All is. We talked about that earlier on in the show, so definitely take a look at that, after the video processes. But we know some shit. He's running a con game. At least on this issue, he is definitely running a con game. He's being disingenuous. He knows what he's doing. He's no dummy. He wears that math pen to show off his intelligence, like it means something, whatever. But he knows what he's doing.
I would never insult Andrew Yang and, call him a dummy. You know what I'm saying? I know what he's capable of. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I know his intellectual acumen is really high. And he's proved that. And I think that actually makes it more apparent when he's being dishonest. You know what I'm saying? Because when somebody's showing you something and you see something completely the opposite, then you're like, wait a second. And then, of course, it's first time running for president. And so you know he's still trying to feel his way through this, even though he's been in this for almost a year.
Yeah.
And so there's still a little bit of humanity. There's still humanity in that dude, and you can tell by the way he was struggling to try to sell the bullshit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You know he didn't want to believe in that shit, man. So sad, man.
I got the quote from Tulsi. I still got it. So she said, quote, "I think the charges about hacking, those can and should be worked out in the court of law." She said that verbatim. Mm-hmm. So essentially, she said the same thing that Andrew Yang just said.
I don't know. You can probably look it up on Twitter.
Yeah. There's a video.
There's a video.
Yeah.
There's a video.
Yeah,
that wasn't just like a statement that somebody took. That was that was on her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Those can and should be worked out in a court of law. Nobody said shit. I tried to tell people. I was like, yo, so everybody is just ignoring this statement that she made saying that, yeah, he should stand trial? Everybody's ignoring that. Okay. All right. So, I believe that's all we have. No. I think Final Fantasy Draft just sent us another contribution with another message. Oh, yeah, that's what we just talked about. Yeah, Assange and Kyle covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look that up because I haven't seen what Kyle had to say. I tend to like when it comes to certain stories and certain issues, I don't watch other people's stuff until
because it can kind of
I don't watch nobody else's shit
or kind of shape your coverage of it.
Even if I agree with them on stuff, I don't watch nobody else's shit.
You might unintentionally use the same language, stuff like that. But if he does have a video about Andrew Yang talking about Assange, and he's critical of Assange's words, I would hope that he has a video as well, or at least some commentary somewhere about Tulsi Gabbard saying the same. Because essentially they are the same comment. He should stand trial. Anyway, all right. We're going to be out of here. It was good to broadcast tonight, get back to the normal. And, you know, unfortunately, this is a short week. We missed Tuesday, but we will be back next week at the same time, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the weekend.
Baby, it's the week. That was what this radio station I used to listen to used to say on Friday.
The Big
The Big DM. It's the weekend, baby.
Yeah, I don't know if this. You know, I don't listen to radio. I haven't listened to radio in some good years.
I caught I would catch XM by accident because my new car, when I got the car, it came with like a free trial.
Or something.
And so that's the only radio I listened to. But once that thing was over, I wasn't doing that shit, man. I was listening to my own music. I've also accidentally listened to radio, like when I'm messing with the screen on my car, a little touch screen.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll be trying to like move stuff and it'll just hit the radio station. But like intentionally going to the radio station, maybe to listen to a football game.
Okay.
Because there's a
channel for that.
There's a station that is not like a sports station, but they always carry this game. Always carry games, so I'll do that.
Yeah, me it's Spotify. You know, when I had the 3 months free from Apple.
Yeah, because you got Apple devices, right?
Yeah. When I had the 3 months, I think I ran out. I think it expired. I'm definitely not paying for it. At least not right now. No, I'm not paying for it. I'm good.
Yeah, I usually just go to YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. But yeah, radio.
YouTube is real good with suggestions. Once that algorithm kicks in, it be suggesting stuff like
Alexa,
yeah.
Use that. Yeah. But radio.
Yeah, man.
Been some years, man. But anyway, like I said, it's a weekend. Hoping everybody has maybe some relaxing plan or something like that. I don't know what's on the schedule for us. I don't know what's going on this weekend. We didn't really talk about impeachment. That's because it's kind of suspended.
It's up in the air.
It's just up in the air.
Could be some stuff or other articles added. There's stuff being held up in court. So it's like,
we don't know
there's other stuff coming out, like Parnas's lawyer saying that he would share things with the House committee and all that. But they got to go over some of the stuff because maybe some of it's privilege. But
it's like you said, it's up in the air.
There was more information about internal emails in the White House about the aid that show that people in the White House knew that it was something wrong with it, and they knew they had to spin it. So
there's a lot of stuff. And it has not been sent. The main point to make is that it has not been sent to the Senate yet. So the actual trial phase cannot start as of yet. So we're just awaiting what happens. So we'll continue to monitor what's going on. If there's anything to talk about, of course, we'll do that here. But yeah, it wasn't too much to go over tonight. So, but anyway, appreciate everybody joining us for tonight's program. Again, we will be back next week, and we hope that you join us then. Thank you to all of our commenters in the chat. Thank you to all of our patrons on patreon.com. Just have the graphic up there for you. It's patreon.com/LTMB.
Thank you for being with us on the first show of 2020.
But for the patrons as well, I just want to point out, thank you for being with us for another year as well. Because these are not our only loyal followers, but monetarily, like I said, I always say, can't be more humble about that, more appreciative for you. Appreciative that you give up your, hard-earned money to promote this platform.
Katie Kane says, "Can I be a Bernie broad?" I like that. I don't wear a bra. Oh, question mark.
Can I be a Bernie
Can
broad?
I be a Bernie broad? I don't wear a bra. Is that that's a question mark?
Yeah.
Do you or don't you?
Well, I guess she's saying she doesn't wear a bra.
She doesn't wear a bra.
So, but can she wear? I don't know. Can she be
Katie
a Bernie
Kane?
broad?
Is that your real? That sounds like, that makes me think of Candy Cane. Katie Kane.
Well,
Bernie guy.
Really, if you're a Bernie supporter, the one thing to keep in mind is that you're only looking at Bernie as a messiah.
Oh,
right?
true that.
That's the one.
You
thing
don't
to
like
keep in
him
mind.
because of his policies. You
Yeah.
just or his
You
platform.
don't care about his
You just
policies.
like him because he's savior to the Democratic Party.
Exactly, yeah. But
Or
a savior
for-
in what way?
I know.
I wish Jason Johnson would have went into a savior.
In what way?
But what, like, to do what?
That's why I said it was a contradiction.
do
It's a contradiction.
Johnson. What is he?
Why
what is
would
he saving
why
us from?
Yeah.
And what is he gonna
Why
do?
would he be seen as a savior
Yeah.
to the Democratic Party?
Right. Is he different? Are you saying he's different? Different in what way? Huh. It's like
This is a professor of political science or a former professor.
I would hope that if he is still teaching classes and he's parroting this kind of garbage, I would hope that somebody
One of his students.
has the wherewithal to say, well, what in the hell are you talking about? You don't even have to be a Bernie Sanders supporter to be like, that doesn't make any damn sense, man. What are you talking about? All right, not going to get into that again. Another one from Final Fantasy Draft. How will MSNBC cover Bernie in the general versus now?
Well, that remains to be seen. Or
If he
because
is,
if lately,
yeah.
like you have people on MSNBC, all of a sudden they're acknowledging that Bernie is a danger.
Yeah.
Like
see
Bernie's
a
a
political
Bible.
article
You see
saying
political
that
articles. You
He
see
has a chance to
commentary.
win that nomination.
I saw somebody on, I think it was MSNBC, Joe Scarborough or something. And like, I guess Joe Scarborough threw the person that was on for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking shit about Bernie, and Joe Scarborough said, "Oh, Bernie's a viable candidate." And the dude was like, I was like, I was brought on here to bash Bernie. What are you doing?
It's kind of like they're setting it up so that it's not such a stark change if they do have to end up supporting Bernie Sanders.
I think they're
setting it into motion.
I think they're seeing the writing on the wall, so they're slowly trying to
it's a slow
at least balance the commentary out.
Yeah.
So if he does become the nominee,
It's
they
not gonna
won't
be
be
like,
looking like there's like
A quick shift.
there's a big old pie
right.
just stuck right
Hey,
here.
we told you he had
Just
a good chance.
Pie right here.
We told you we had a good chance.
Yeah, we told.
See?
Yeah, no, we told you he was viable. We told you he was something to reckon with. See, we said it here on MSNBC and CNN. No,
Now, are they going to provide the same type of glowing coverage that was provided to somebody like Hillary Clinton in 2016 for the general? I doubt it. I mean, I don't believe that they would be. I don't think they would be so, I guess, disparaging. Like, look, somebody, you have Claire McCaskill on MSNBC, and she is somebody that has always had this negative opinion about Bernie Sanders, always calling him a socialist. And, socialists can't win the nomination. And no, he's not a serious candidate, this and that. Always has some bullshit coming out of her mouth. And so, what is going to be her position? You know, if he is the nominee, what is going to be her position? I'm sure you're going to still have your commentators, your analysts that let some garbage fly out of their mouths. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to stand for the majority of them. I don't think it's going to stand for the majority of them. But they are going to throw out some shit. They are going to throw out some shit. Oh, Medicare for all, that can't really work. And, Chris Matthews. It's always going to be some bullshit. But, if Bernie Sanders can get through the Democratic nomination process and come away as the nominee, then I'm not worried about the media.
Yeah, people in the chat seem to be very aware that Obama is snuggling up to Elizabeth Warren. Mm-hmm. To me, that people see that as a bad sign, because they know how much influence Obama still has. Yeah, it's a bad sign, depending on how you see it. But it just seems as if he's swooping in now because Warren is sliding.
Yeah, she is sliding. She definitely is. I don't anticipate an endorsement coming.
Don't think so?
Not anytime soon.
That would be funny, though. Because remember what Biden said?
Biden
I told him not to endorse me.
Yeah, I didn't need it.
I didn't need it.
Do this on my own. Just like I operated when I was in your administration. I was
Speak-
doing things on my own.
Speaking of Biden, saying that he might be thinking about a Republican VP.
He ain't thinking about it. He ain't thinking about that.
You think he's just saying that to just make
Yeah.
himself seem like he is the peacemaker?
Yeah, he's the
deal
bridge.
maker?
Yeah, he's the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually doing that. He's not doing that.
But hey,
But the weird part about this is that he thinks this is a good idea to say it. That's the dumbest thing about this. That he thinks this is a good campaign strategy. To say, yeah, I'm open to it. That's not coming across anybody's ears in a favorable way. Nobody's like, yeah, you know what? I like this guy now.
hey, I mean, maybe he did mean it. Maybe he meant it 100%. Maybe he was being genuine. I mean, if a Republican VP is good enough for Obama, a Republican VP is good enough for Biden. Hint. Because that's what essentially
Right.
Biden was, and the reason why Obama chose Biden as his VP is because it was some sort of conciliatory move.
It was to bridge a gap.
It was to bridge a gap. So Biden he seems to be as, I guess, seeing himself as some sort of like democratic icon. He's having an identity crisis. He doesn't know who he is. He didn't even know why he was chosen. You know what I'm saying? Did Barack break that down to him? Did somebody tell him?
Maybe not. But hey, maybe like you said, maybe if Joe Biden is serious about including a Republican on the ticket, maybe he'll think about Fred Upton. Maybe he'll think about Fred Upton. Because Fred Upton owes him one.
No!
Upton owes him one.
No, he doesn't.
Of course he does.
He already got paid.
Oh, damn.
He got paid $200K. That's all Fred Upton owes him.
But maybe
Well, it wasn't Fred Upton.
Yeah.
It was
But, yeah, you know.
Man, I'm surprised that is still not a topic.
I'm surprised nobody has addressed this.
Every time somebody says, especially a Biden supporter says something like, Bernie, he's not even a Democrat. And I'm just like, actually, you know what? Either a Biden supporter or a Warren supporter. You can't be throwing that shit out there if you're a Warren supporter when Warren was a Republican until 1997.
Into her 40s.
Right. Or Biden, doing a stump speech.
For $200,000 for a far right Republican.
But Bernie Sanders is a Republican. I'm like, get out of here.
We ain't even talking about, if it was a Republican, he's not a Republican anymore, but.
Amash?
Yeah, Justin Amash.
Amash, yeah.
If it was for that guy, it still would have been like, yo, you still showed up for a Republican. But it's not even that kind of guy. We're talking about a far right Republican he showed up for and tried to get him reelected, in which he was reelected. Don't know if he would have been reelected regardless, but still, he went to Michigan, showed up for that guy a few weeks before the midterms, and nobody talking about it. I don't know, man. Maybe Bernie is holding that, deep in the pocket. Maybe it's deep in the pocket.
Could be.
Maybe.
And I will say, Bernie has kind of, loosened his belt a little bit.
He has a little bit.
He had that moment.
Unfasten
the tie,
yeah.
loosen that belt, and he had that big moment in the last debate. He kind of killed two birds with one stone. Or two snakes, or whatever.
Yeah.
Buttigieg and Biden,
True.
kind of being very snarky about them being friends with billionaires and having support from billionaires, and it was done in a way where they couldn't say Bernie Sanders was on the attack.
Yeah, it was very passive aggressive.
It was passive aggressive and snarky, and
it was smooth though.
And you can tell by the crowd reaction.
Yeah, it was like, oh.
And you know what? And what it does, it pretty much neutralized Buttigieg and Biden, because you can't come back from that.
No, you can't.
Looks like you got some competition there. I was like, dang, son. Son.
Yeah. But hopefully he does have that, buried deep in his pocket, and he's gonna bring it out at some point, because that's a significant point of attack.
And I think
nobody has used
and unfortunately, it actually helps Bernie out if it's just, let's say, ends up being him and Buttigieg or him and Biden, because you know good and well what it's going to be if it's him and Warren. Any kind of critique or any kind of attempt made by him or his campaign to separate himself from Warren is going to be seen as some sort of misogynist move.
Well, I don't see that coming, though. I don't think it's going to be between him and Warren.
No, I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. It benefits Bernie if it's between him and another male, because you know that's going to come out. They can't really use that with another man.
So that is a something to consider, though, when you're talking about Obama, though, because
he was the original Bernie bro.
But I'm saying I'm talking about an endorsement. I don't see it coming soon, like on the campaign, like in this point of the campaign trail when you're actually getting to the primaries and caucuses.
Yeah.
I can't see it happening.
You think it's going to be wait till Super Tuesday? Wait till after the results?
It would be really weird for Biden to be in the race and then Obama endorse somebody else. That would be real weird, but it could happen. It would have to happen for Elizabeth Warren's benefit. It would have to happen sooner rather than later, because I think sooner she has a better chance sooner of being taken out. I don't think she's gonna make it all the way to the convention. I don't believe she's gonna make it.
And Buttigieg is getting all that attention right now.
Yeah, I think either Buttigieg or Biden can make it all the way to the convention. Could both?
I'm glad Buttigieg is getting the attention though, because with this increased attention, there's so much stuff that's coming out about him, things he said in the past. Recently, I saw a clip where he was saying that the founding fathers didn't know that like slavery, institutional racism or institutional slavery and chattel slavery was wrong. He said they didn't know. They didn't think it was. They didn't know. They didn't know it was wrong.
So they didn't know it was wrong to abuse a person.
They didn't know it was wrong.
Hold them in indefinite captivity.
They didn't know any of that.
Didn't know.
Against their will. They didn't know.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, like they
have them beat each other. And
there's actually writings.
And stuff
they actually wrote, they actually wrote a lot of things about how they thought it was a contradiction to the American, I guess, construct of democracy. They wrote about it. So they knew it was wrong. They called it, the peculiar institution? Why would it be peculiar if it wasn't wrong? So like you said, he was suggesting that they did not have the capacity to recognize human suffering. Because did these people go willingly? These people who were slaves, did they go willingly? Obviously not. So essentially he's saying that they couldn't recognize that. They can't recognize human pain. They can't recognize human suffering. People being forced to work against their will is, that's just kind of a vague institution to them, right? Essentially you're saying they're sociopaths.
They can't recognize.
Because they can't recognize them.
Well, this is another intellectual, being a con man.
Oh no! He's way too smart to even believe anything like that. But why would you need to believe that? They didn't know it was wrong.
You're trying to do something.
You're trying to do something.
We missed Trudy on Super Chat saying LTMB does the best analysis on the web. So that's a lofty.
I know that's a lofty. I know some people who do really good. No, I appreciate it, but yeah.
Look, I know we do go in depth. I will say I don't know of too many others that go to the depths that we go to really break it down in the way that we do as well. So I still wouldn't, cast that kind of praise on myself, of course. But I do appreciate it. I do definitely appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate you still being with us in 2020. No doubt. Appreciate everybody here. As I said a few minutes ago, we'll be back next week. Hope everybody has a good weekend. And we'll see you in a few days. Peace out.